Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 189. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez,
Sup, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero,
Sucker Free Sunday.
and Brian Manjoma.
Yo.
All right, people, we're back. All right, no Adam action. He is sick for unknown reasons. He just said he was, just out of it, And Brett, he may show up, he may not. Who knows? I don't keep tabs of that man. Oh man! All right,
watching Deadpool.
Yeah. Again for the 50th time. All right, before we start, I need to give a quick shout out, or a very long shout out, to Riku-san 1, who streamed the entirety of Final Fantasy VII on our channel. So, congrats to him.
Yep. He finally defeated Sephiroth, and he said he's going to go after the platinum, but he said he didn't want to do that during the stream. The main thing he wanted to do was, beat the game.
Yeah. What was his final thoughts on it? I didn't get those. I don't think he liked that game very much.
No, he said it's not like, at least I asked him before, and he's like, he doesn't think it's his worst. He doesn't think it's the worst Final Fantasy. He actually did quite like it, but there were some aspects of the game that he wasn't really too keen on.
What were these aspects?
A lot of the mini games that they introduced into Final Fantasy VII. Where you got to do the stupid, like Simon Says thing with Cloud, or those little sections where you have to jump onto a line so you can get a little bit of a materia. Those little things that they kind of threw in there to kind of change things up. Though he did like that he did say, I think I remember him saying he did like the little RTS that they put in there. When those guys are attacking that one area, that it's like 2 times you have to do this kind of RTS section of stuff.
Oh, he liked that. Interesting.
He dug that, and I didn't actually get to see the final verdict on it. And the other sucky part, and this is the thing that stinks about playing the game on PS4, is the fact that it blocks all the important cinematics in the game. So you never get to see the final battle with Cloud and Sephiroth, and the really high resolution version of them. And you don't get to see a couple of other cinematics throughout it, which kind of sucks. So you just see this dumb blue screen. Yo,
man, Sony's being anti-consumer.
Yeah, I don't think that's cool, especially if it's an over 20-year-old game. By now, everybody knows the fucking ending to this Final Fantasy VII. You fight Sephiroth.
Yeah, they're probably worried about one or two idiots are like, "Oh, you spoiled the game for me."
You spoiled the game for me. You know what? Most games don't need to actually do that. I'm sure you can stream the ending of God of War and not have any issues.
Yeah,
so.
And you said they fixed Persona. Because Persona, you couldn't stream anything.
No, I don't know anything about Persona, but they can fix any one of those games. They can just do an update and turn that damn thing off.
Yeah, so stupid. All right, man. Let's just get into it. We didn't get a lot of questions, so you guys joining us tonight, if you want to ask us some shit, ask us some shit. All right, first up is our boy, Mr. Daemon Percival. Now, he asked this question, obviously, before he saw Thursday's episode, which he joined the chat to call me a pony. So thank you for that, Damien. How Damien just comes out of the woodwork just to, throw bombs and stuff. Like, that him doing that reminded me of the episode of Chappelle with the Time Haters. Like, we are the Time Haters. We travel all the way back in time to call you a cracker. He got to get the toothpick out. Oh, man. All right, so his first question is, what is your take on Sony's attitude on crossplay in Fortnite? I wonder what we thought about that. Then it's not like we had a whole feature topic on it, but obviously we're going to answer the question. We're just not going to, spend 40 minutes on the shit. Actually, Chris, I want your thoughts since you weren't here to opine.
Oh, okay.
And I want your thoughts on both of the scenarios, the Epic thing and the crossplay thing.
The Epic thing.
The Epic account, locking of Epic account. That's the first one. And then the just Sony not accepting crossplay.
Okay, so I think there's a little more nuance in the black and white issue of, should they allow crossplay or not? Sony can do whatever they want with their ecosystem, right? And they definitely are protective of getting people to play the games on their platform and increasing sales, so they have an ecosystem and they build it gradually. Now, with that said, I think they should allow cross save and they should not lock the Epic accounts, but in terms so there's other things they could do like cross save. So if I am playing Fortnite and I earn a bunch of stuff, or I pay into the PlayStation Store and buy stuff in Fortnite and whatnot, that stuff should carry into if I go play on my PC and whatnot. I think they should unlock that. Now, with if they don't want to allow crossplay, that's fine. That's it. That's up to them. But I think just having the freedom of now I boot it up on my PC and my character is the same exact character, I can log in, whatever, that they should allow. So I think that is the extra step that they took too far, in my opinion, was locking the accounts to the PlayStation. It's not their accounts. Like if it was your Sony account, whatever, I could understand, but this is not their game. So they should allow all that stuff which Epic created and whatever to carry over to each system. Now, with crossplay, that's up to them. That's entirely if they want you just to play in the PlayStation field, that's entirely their right. Games have been doing that forever. This is just a recent thing now that like Rocket League allowed crossplay, and then now this being a huge game now has called attention to this problem. Does Sony need to fix it? Well, I think they should have addressed it going into E3 for sure. They should not have left it to people to get mad and start railing on them to give a half-assed apology and go, "We don't really care, guys. You have 80 million people to play with, so don't complain." That was basically their apology, right? So it's not a real apology, but at the same time, they're that's what they're well within their rights to do that. But I think the two things they could have done it was address the Fortnite thing. Don't let people walk into that not knowing that their account is locked. Once they make it on PlayStation, they're unaware. Casuals are unaware that you can't go on your Switch now and take that account with you. They should make people fully damn aware that they can do that. That's just information, right? That doesn't cost them anything. The second thing they should do, don't lock the account. Just let the cross save happen. So you take the stuff, you go play on the Switch, whatever. Crossplay, that's up to them. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. Like I can agree with that. Like you want people to be on your ecosystem, that's fine. But that's a whole different animal than saying that the account is locked to your PlayStation. All the stuff you're on a PlayStation has to stay here. It can't go anywhere else. That's not your game. That's Epic's game. You should allow that stuff to transfer. People pay into it or they grind it. They should be able to carry it over if it's on another system. PC, Xbox, Switch, I don't care. That should carry over. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I do have a question for you, which I kind of like. I was like not happy that you weren't here to like address this because a lot of people seem to have forgotten the relationship between Nintendo and Sony and why crossplay will not be something that'll happen anytime soon. Can you please enlighten people as to you don't have to go over the whole history, obviously, but just tell people why Sony and Nintendo don't play nice with each other and they probably won't anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay. So Nintendo and Sony have very bad blood, and this goes all the way back to the Philips deal that happened with the Super Nintendo CD, that eventually would become the PlayStation, right? So Nintendo back in like '94, I don't remember if it's '93 or '94, basically made a deal with Sony to produce the Super Nintendo CD. Did not tell them that they backhandedly made a deal with Philips because they were paranoid that Sony would retain the CD rights to the games, and then at E3 brought Philips on stage and announced they are making the Super Nintendo CD. So Sony found out when everyone else found out. So after they got burned, after that they took their design for Super Nintendo CD, rebranded it, and released it 2 years later, and it was the Sony PlayStation. PlayStation was born because Nintendo screwed them over at E3. So this is Sony and Nintendo do not like each other, and I can tell you internally, Nintendo will not use anything branded with Sony unless they have absolutely have to. They buy bulk TVs like you've seen their E3 setup. Every year they set up tons of screens and whatever. They will not buy a Sony TV. They will not buy Sony stereos. They will not buy Sony anything. Components, nothing ever again after that. And Sony the same thing. They want nothing to do with Nintendo. They don't even mention them. It's like who's that? They this is this is Japanese bad blood, right? This is deeper than shit. That shit probably wouldn't happen here. Like a few years and a few beers, and you'd be cool. Like not them, man. That's samurai shit. They'll probably kill each other in the streets if they see each other. So this is why, like, Sony does not acknowledge them. Nintendo doesn't not. They will not. No, like you see Reggie going out, and he's enjoying that limelight, right? Everybody's like, oh, how do you feel about crossplay? And he gets right in front of the camera, but he don't know shit. This is not. This has nothing to do with him. This is an old thing going way before him, and this is like Japanese rivalry, bad blood that they will not acknowledge each other. So that crossplay, like, and Sony cannot just go, okay, we'll turn it on for Microsoft, we'll turn it on for PC, but we're not going to turn it on for you assholes. They can't do that. So just nobody gets it. Fuck everyone, right? And they're in a position to do that because they're dominating right now in this generation. So they're like, fuck it, we're not turning it on.
We said this on the show the other night too, where essentially Microsoft kind of pulled the same sort of situation too, where Sony said, "Yeah, we'll be open to do crossplay with Microsoft," and Microsoft's like, "Nah, we don't want to do that. Sorry."
Yeah, last gen the roles were flipped. Yeah, Microsoft said no, we want people in our ecosystem. They were doing the same thing, but Microsoft really didn't have a reason to do that other than they just want to keep players on Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only. This is a deeper thing for Sony, much deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Like bad blood between Sony and Nintendo is years old, and it's it hasn't cooled down.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because that's something I'm trying to get people to understand. It's like, oh no, like basically they don't think about all the variables. Like they just want to crossplay, and I said like they're not thinking about all these things specifically with Nintendo and Sony. It's like they have bad blood. That shit ain't going away anytime soon. Microsoft and Sony are actually pretty cool with each other, but Sony and Nintendo are not. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway. And by the way, everything Chris said, I completely agree with.
Yeah, I agree with that
completely. We got into a huge debate over this, and I'm going to let the other two guys jump in here real quick to give their thoughts. Let's go with
Which
Brian. Yeah, let's go with Brian first, man, because he's the most passionate about this, even though he's British.
All right. Wait, you want to play Rage?
Go ahead, Brian.
So, my thoughts on Sony's stance on the Epic account and the cross-saving thing, they have no right. Like, that's not theirs. They're fucking up for people that have spent time, like, doing what they did with that, with like, in Fortnite, so, like, unlocking and grinding. So they should just stop that. In regards to crossplay, just let it happen. I don't see what the big hoo-ha is. Like, okay, yes, you're a company, yes, you have bad blood, but you not doing it just shows that you don't give a shit about the gamers. And to me, that's more offensive than anything else. Which is true. Again, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, for the most part, they don't give a shit about us, but this is just them proving that they don't give a shit about us. And from my point of view, it gives me more of reason to not like them. And be like, yep, Sony, go fuck yourselves. So I'm not overall too fussed. Again, as Chris said, it's their platform. They can do whatever the hell they want. If they don't want crossplay, then they don't want crossplay. That's fine. But then that doesn't mean that I have to accept that they don't want crossplay. I can still be like, let crossplay just happen. In terms of gaming, there's no real bad side to it. Again, more servers, more people to play with, less dead games going around. There's nothing wrong with that. But if these guys want to make the money, then they can make the money. I'll just not like them.
Well, and it's not like Sony or Nintendo hosts these servers. I'm pretty sure most of these are dedicated servers owned by the companies that release the games. And we're only talking about third-party titles here that are multi-platform. And for me, so here's the thing with me with crossplay. I'm not like overly hyped about that, but it would be something that I wouldn't mind. And if one company can make another company and put their feet on the fire with a feature that would be better for gamers, I'm all for it. I don't care if there's bad blood. I don't care if there's if it's within one right. If a huge population of the gaming contingency want this feature and one company is and two companies are putting sort of the top dog, like, and they're calling them out on that because they don't want to play ball, and it's just good business, or it's a good marketing ploy. and I'm all for it because Sony succumbing to this feature does not hurt Sony in any way. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's not like they're giving up an exclusive franchise or they're giving up on anything. They're just letting people play with other people. And if they get criticism because of that, it's not that I agree with people saying, "Oh, Sony's a shitbagger. I'm not playing any Sony games with that." I don't agree with that kind of stuff. But just people saying, "Oh, this is a feature that these guys are doing. Why aren't you doing that type of criticism?" I'm all for it, man, because it helps progress the industry. It's the same kind of criticism that we gave Sony when their PSN wasn't up to scale or before they even had a network. Now they have a robust network that everyone likes and loves, and Sony had the PSN free game deals. Now Microsoft has their games with gold, and it just helps. It's competition. It helps progress the industry.
The one thing I always wonder about, though, if the roles were reversed, if Sony did say that this would happen, I feel like it can only really be one or the other, Nintendo or Sony. I don't think it can be Nintendo, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, because I definitely think that if Sony was involved with this thing, I think that Nintendo will be like, no, we're not doing it anymore. I think just for the plain fact that Sony is not doing anything with it.
Yeah,
that's why Nintendo is involved.
Yeah, and you mentioned it happened with Microsoft last gen, and that's fine. But then we criticize Microsoft, or the people who want this feature should criticize Microsoft. So
to be fair though, I did not. Me personally, I didn't criticize Microsoft for that last year. I'm like, hey, that's their prerogative, and I understand why they didn't do it, because it's a bad business move. It's like, why would you want to take people off your ecosystem? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. So I understand why these companies would not want to have crossplay. You know, that was my whole stance. I'm like, I understand where the company is coming from here. You know, do I personally want crossplay? I don't really care. You guys know me. I don't even play that many multiplayer games to begin with. And as and Nate says, a lot of people complaining don't even play Fortnite, which is even more ridiculous. You know.
Yes, but we can play other third-party games, and this feature would be good in them. For example, Warframe. There's one reason why I don't play Warframe on PS4. Well, actually, there's two reasons. One, the frame rate. Two, I can't carry over my saves. Like, that is the number one reason why I'm not playing Warframe on PS4. Like, again, I would love to get the trophies, because the trophies are really cool, and see that nice bar. But because I have to start again from scratch, I'm not even going to bother. Because I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, so, Brian, I find that interesting, because like a lot of games, at least nowadays, they do because here's the thing people also forget. PlayStation does do crossplay with PC, but I'm guessing maybe because Warframe was one of the first games out the gate, it doesn't do it, because that is very strange. Usually, at least nowadays, they do that, you know? Very strange. You know,
he's talking about cross save.
Yeah, but don't they do that? No, don't they do that too?
No, if you're on a PlayStation and if somebody else is on a PC, you can play against the PC guys, but you can't bring your PlayStation stuff over.
No, that makes sense.
In Warframe, you can't play cross-play or cross-save. It's just you load in, that's it.
Yeah, you can't do either. Yeah, I'm guessing it's because it was one of the first games out the gate to do that, but yeah, it kind of odd, especially now, because again, when I bring it up, Sony does do, because people are like, Sony doesn't do crossplay. They do crossplay with PC with something that's not the competition, you know, and that makes sense to me. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff here. Hold on, go ahead, Brian, because there's something else I got to go through my head here.
You don't have to be playing Fortnite to see this as a problem. Like, this is like indicative of one of the things that I really hate about most gamers. Like, just because that it's not something that they do often, that they seem that, because you don't play this, like, you should have no say in it. Like, no, it's understanding of, like, this is a feature that would be good in other games. So would you like to see this in other games? If so, then voice your opinion. If not, don't voice your opinion.
It's like when we criticize
how, like, because we don't play Fortnite, we shouldn't say about it, or we shouldn't talk about it. Like, I find that very small-minded. It's like, okay, yes, I don't play Fortnite, but I play Warframe, and I would like this feature in Warframe. So hence, I speak up about it, because this is something that I would like to see in other games.
It's kind of like when we criticize Nintendo for their voice chat feature. It's like, are any of us really going to be using their voice chat that often?
Yeah, to be fair, though, you see me getting that passionate about it, I don't give a fuck.
We
You
had a
know,
show on it.
yeah, I know we did because gamers are, here's the thing, Carlos. Something that you kind of said last time, which I'm like confused about. You seem to think that just because, like, if I would say, "Hey, this is stupid," we're like, "Why are we talking about it then?" Just because I think it's stupid doesn't mean it's not important to other people, and people aren't talking about it. You know?
Oh no, I know, but what I'm saying is like we're covering it, we're voicing our opinions.
Yeah.
Therefore, we get lumped into the crowd where people are sort of pro or against whatever the topic is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you know how it is nowadays, man. Because I'm neither pro or against. I don't give a fuck. You know?
yeah, we're not like we're not advocates, but we sort of kind of through our I don't know. I'm bad with these fucking terms, but
You'll say it in Spanish.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. No, the point is, like I said, throw it down. We even talk about Call of Duty. We don't give a fuck about Call of Duty except for Adam. Yeah. So we cover.
Yeah, it's good that we have actually somebody who does care about Call of Duty on there, so it makes it even better. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Too bad Brett isn't here because he was pretty passionate about it. This whole thing.
Passionate.
Yeah. Again, for a dude who ain't playing Fortnite, it's pretty interesting. And damn it, there was another point I wanted to bring. I totally fucking forgot. But I am glad Chris brings up the whole Nintendo Sony thing. It's like people are failing to see that. Actually, I remember my point right now. This is the thing I want to say. I love the fact. I love our composition on this show because we got half the guys here are like purely like gamers. They, no industry stuff. They're just purely gamers. They see things from a gamer point of view. Then the other half are not only gamers, but they're in the industry, so they see that point of view. So I think that way we bring a good a good balance of views, because you have shows that are just purely industry, don't understand what the average gamer is going through. Then you have like podcasts that are just for, just run by gamers, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So we have a pretty good mixture. So I just wanted to give all you guys a shout out for that. Thanks, man. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say one more thing on it. I think Sony should unlock the Epic thing for one reason. Like, it's one thing to look out for your business with the crossplay. So I'm with you on they can do whatever they want for their business, but this is also Epic's business, right? So let's say I find out cross-sectionally that PlayStation owners tend to spend the most money on Fortnite store, right?
Yeah.
They get mad now. Maybe some of them buy the hype, whatever, go buy it on Switch, go on PC, whatever. And then I get a disproportionate amount of now Switch players who don't spend money on the store, right? That hurts their business. So then they will also come back at Sony and go, hey, this is not fair. This is our accounts. We're running the service and everything. This shouldn't just be locked to PlayStation. And now Sony will be in a dilemma if Epic does that, because they'll be like, okay, well, we're not going to support your game on the PlayStation platform. Or B, okay, fine, we'll unlock it. So those are two. That's where they're going to be in a sticky situation if Epic steps in and go, hey, this is hurting our business, so we need to do something about this, and at least you need cross save. So if Sony says no, that puts them in a bind, I think. So that will look worse than I think this has. This has gotten overblown because of E3 hype and whatnot. I think if Epic comes back and goes, you need to unlock this, and we need at least cross save so people can carry their accounts over, and Sony says no and draws a line in the sand and goes, if you want that, you can pull your game right off. We'll pull your game off of PlayStation. That will be a dick move. That I will call out.
And also, just because I need to point this out, every one of us, Brett's not here, but I can speak for him too. Every single one of us is in agreement. The whole locking Epic account thing is fucking bullshit. Every single one of us agrees with that.
Yeah, like what if that ability is there? Why lock it off?
It's fucking dumb. It makes absolutely no sense.
That
and
doesn't make any
I really
sort of
want
sense.
to know an explanation for that. It makes absolutely no fucking sense.
Yeah,
granted, there's no progression to move back and forth. But if you buy shit, I understand. You don't want to. You do want to carry it over. But I don't understand. Is it something that Sony did, or is it something that Epic did? Somebody did something in the back end, and I want to know what it is.
Here's an interesting thing to think about with this whole different platform sort of things. Okay, so let's say, I don't know, for the sake of conversation, the PC version, the Steam version of Fortnite has a huge sale, and you can get every single bit of DLC outfit for 99 cents. But that thing is not available on the PlayStation or on the Switch. So that means theoretically you can kind of trick Epic out of money by jumping from your Switch edition to the Steam edition, getting that DLC, and then going back if it carries all of your connected files.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way these games work. Either you pay to win or you grind, right? But that's the nature of it. So yeah, it's fine. Like if you were playing on PC and you're like, I don't got the time to play this, I'm just gonna throw money at it so I can get better stuff. Then you sign into Switch and there's your better stuff, right? It's the same experience. It doesn't matter if you take that stuff on a PC and shoot somebody or shoot them on Switch, whatever. Like it's the same thing. So,
but yeah, essentially, Epic is kind of losing money if that sort of situation does happen. And
they're not losing money because you're buying it on PC. If they decide, they have to decide to run the Steam sale, right? And that's just to ingratiate people into Fortnite so that they will spend money when the thing's done. It's like it's just like a little bit of honey you put out to.
Wouldn't you have to be able to run the same sale on every single platform that's connected to
Not
have
necessarily.
parity?
No, you don't need to run that on every single system because it's tied to your Epic account. So if it's like saying like I can go to Key Food and buy bananas for $5 a bunch, or I could go to Grand Union and buy them for $2 a bunch. That would be like saying every supermarket needs to have price parity on bananas. They don't. And then I still get the bananas. I can take them home and eat them and do whatever I want, bake them into bread. It's just that then will I shop at Key Food or Grand Union? I shop wherever I get the cheaper bananas. It's the same thing, but I still get bananas either way. So it's the same thing with this. I can go on my PC, and then if they offer it through Steam, great, but I'd have to wait for them to offer that stuff. And then there's gonna be stuff they don't offer. There's gonna be prize packs and all sorts of other shit that is not gonna be on sale.
Unless Fortnite has because I have never played it before. Unless Fortnite has an internal store within itself. So in other words, you get the game for free, but neither Steam nor any of the other things actually carries the items. You have to specifically buy the items inside of the game in order to do that. Kind of like in-app purchases. So maybe it works that way as opposed to just like, hey, look, buy the new DLC. Where it's
it's possible on PC it works like that. But remember, on every console, you have to go through that system store, right? You can't do anything in game outside. Like when you go on PlayStation, like you play GTA and you buy a shark card, it sends you to the PlayStation store. And you buy the same thing on Xbox, it'll send you to the Xbox store. So on console, it'll always be through their store. It will have to send you to the Nintendo eShop then, right? But on PC, they could do whatever they want. So it's always tied to the Epic account though, and that's the thing, right? That's the key that Sony's not letting out of their system. It's like I bought that on PC. It got offered to me on sale, but I can't use it on PlayStation because it's locked. So
yeah. All right. I want to move on to the next question. Now I move this. Go ahead.
Real quick. Shout out to Richard Bailey Jr. He says Sony still didn't allow PSN name change, so why are people surprised with this?
You can do. I hear you can do it in Europe, right? They've had that option for years.
I don't know. I don't know if they have or not. Don't quote us, Brian. You could verify that.
Brian, can you switch your name in Europe?
After Brexit,
I've not been told that I can.
Yeah,
after Brexit, have you?
yeah. Don't quote us on that one. I can't verify if that's true or not.
I thought they had it, but I could be wrong. Anyway,
I'm gonna move on here. I'm moving this up the Manny, your favorite word, the queue.
The queue.
This is from Seth. So he goes, why has no one asked for crossplay with GTA 5, a much bigger game than Fortnite? This goes back to what I was, my confusion about this whole thing. I'm like, you guys weren't beefing about this last month, and are you going to beef about it this fall when all the big MP games, about Red Dead Redemption 2, Battlefield 5, Call of Duty, whatever the fuck the name of it is this year? Like, are you going to beef now? And why weren't you beefing last month? So you see what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm confused about all this.
Yo, man, you know what it is. It's connected to the fucking zeitgeist because somebody actually mentioned it. Yeah. Because otherwise this shit would have gone under the radar, just like it always does. Everybody goes into their little rage mode, and then all of a sudden just flattens out. So now somebody's talking about that again, and everybody's like, outrage! Well,
Yeah.
you should have stayed outraged from the last time this shit happened.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, are you going to be this outraged when Red Dead Redemption 2 drops and you can't play it, PlayStation guys and Xbox guys? Because you weren't doing that last year. You weren't doing that last month. So what's going on now? You know?
Yeah, the outrage would be inconsistent because it's like, are you guys gonna go out there and yell about Black Ops 4 not having crossplay, or
That's what I'm saying.
Battlefield 5, or Jesus, like, you want to take that fight to everyone? Like,
I just think it's a little bit because it just so happened to be mentioned, and also the last time it happened was with somebody left the servers on a friggin' what's that thing on the car soccer game, right? What the hell is that?
Rocket League.
Rocket League. They left that thing open, and they're like, "Wait, that's possible."
And then they forgot about it.
And then it's gone.
Yeah, just like this thing's going to be gone in a month, probably less, you know? But yeah, again, I want to know, is this, people are going to have the same level of indignation and outrage when all the MP games drop this fall? That's all I want to know. And please do that so you could be consistent at least. Because that's why I want to know. I want to know where the consistency is. You weren't beefing about this shit last month. You know, last month, 3 weeks ago. You weren't saying that shit. What happened? You know? It's stupid. It's inconsistent. Has anybody played Vampire? Nope.
I'm slightly interested in the game, but at the same time, I just don't have any time. That's it.
Yeah, no, I haven't played it.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, guys.
Just for the sake of saying it, Vampire.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on this? GTA, what's going on, man? How come no one's saying nothing?
It's
Because
GTA, and there's no dying population. If you still jump in, the game is still full, so no one really has to care.
Fortnite ain't dying, man. That's the biggest game in town right now. You know?
Yeah, but again, as Ryan said, like, that's the zeitgeist game, so everyone's like, yeah, why not? And plus,
everybody's talking about that. Well, you know, GTA is kind of just chugging along.
Well,
you know,
I noticed the trigger point was Fortnite was on the Switch, and then Switch players tried to play with PlayStation people, and that's what kind of lit the fuse of this. We don't have to worry about that. GTA is not on the Switch, and Red Dead will never be. So I guess
don't say that, Chris. Don't say that on Twitter, at least.
Oh my God! I'll say it here. Like, it just, you guys can wait for it. Hold your breath. Like, that is more oxygen for us.
That's a great way of putting it. All right, man. Let's move on here to Mr. Damien again. This one's for you specifically.
What's up, Percival? How you doing?
And I want you to use this opportunity to kind of school people on how these things actually work. So his question is, Emilio, will you submit any drawings to Beyond Good and Evil 2? So please enlighten people on how this works. You know, how you've gotten work with gaming and how the whole process is.
Well, I mean, will I be submitting any artwork to the Beyond the Good and Evil thing? I kind of don't, to be honest, I kind of don't like the way that works. And let me just tell you why. Officially, the artwork that you do, and I don't know what kind of contract work that they're signing, but you know, the reason why, okay, I used to work in TV animation, right? And what happens is, you know how, like, you know, if kids really enjoy your show, they send you stuff in the mail to show you, like, you know, they'll send you something like a Ninja Turtle, because I work on Ninja Turtles. They would send you pictures of Ninja Turtles and stuff like that in the mail, right? Thing is, as a company, we cannot show that artwork on TV, because the children that made that artwork did not sign any sort of paperwork that you can show their work on TV. For this situation with this thing, officially, I don't know what kind of paperwork that these guys are going to give you when you submit your work, but officially, that doesn't sound like a kosher situation to me. Like, where they're saying you can shape the world of things. All they're doing is just essentially putting a fan art bulletin board in the game. So I don't really think I'm going to do anything like that. It doesn't just seem right to me.
All right, hold on. Before you go on, I'm just gonna be honest. I need you to school me on something because I thought he was asking, is like, are you going to join the art team in Beyond Good and Evil too?
No.
So is there like a fan thing in the game?
Yeah, that's the thing that they were talking at Ubisoft. They were like, "Hey, you can shape the world of Beyond Good and Evil too." Essentially, what it is, it's like artwork and all kinds of Beyond Good and Evil things. They're gonna have like an in-game kind of bulletin board, or not bulletin board, but areas in the game where it will stream in images submitted by fans of the game.
Interesting.
Kind of like the way the billboards in a lot of EA games work, where how they're able to dynamically change them to, like, remember how like there was a Obama one inside of
Oh yes.
in what was that game? Inside of Burnout.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they're going to do it. So like essentially you have in the environment, you're going to have areas where you can see that they're going to have constantly changing like things with artwork from fans and stuff like that on there. So they're trying to give the people not autonomy over the world, but essentially feel like they're a part of the world of Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh, okay. Damien, my bad. I completely misunderstood your question. I thought because you knew that Manny did artwork for video games, I thought you were like, "Hey, Manny, are you gonna work for these guys?" Like I thought.
No.
That's why I wanted you to explain how you get into stuff. But this is a completely separate topic. My bad.
No,
my
yeah,
bad.
this is more like if you're a fan of Beyond and Good and
Gotcha.
Evil and you want to have your work seen inside of the game. That's the sort of stuff that happens.
Gotcha.
They're trying to kind of create a bit of a community of fans and stuff that have, and their world will kind of showcase fan created sort of things.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know.
If I was a big fan of Beyond Good and Evil, but maybe I would do it. But I'm not. I find a little bit of that sort of practice a bit dubious, not sinister, but it just seems a little weird to me. But I mean, it could just be something as simple as just like, hey, it's a fan bulletin board, and they like, how about like whenever you submit like your work to like, I remember Sony did a couple of things where they have little art galleries that show up on some of the PlayStation pages. You can see a bunch of people's fan art in there, and usually when you submit your stuff to that, they give you a little bit of paperwork that says how much. You specifically give the rights to show your artwork on this thing, or if for the sake of some conversation, some companies, what they like to do is they give you a contract that says, hey, the moment that you submit this artwork to us is the moment that this artwork belongs to us. But not most companies don't do that. So that's what I'm thinking that this is going to work like. So, but am I going to be submitting to it? No, not really. I don't really need to I don't feel the need to kind of submit any sort of artwork to something like that. But I think it's an interesting prospect that they're trying to do, where they're trying to get people involved and try to create a fan base within it. One thing to know about like fan art is that it's essentially free advertising for most media. A lot of times what happens is these big studios like Ubisoft or even big movie studios tend to hire people like famous artists or very high profile fan artists to do posters and promotional images that they show online, because officially it's not even that big of an investment. You're just like, hey, as opposed to throwing $50 million commercials on TV that most people won't watch. You throw them a cool piece of fan art and say, hey, go see that movie.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll move on. This one's from Barry Burton. So he goes, I'll throw down a bonus question tonight. Will demand still be as high for the new shipments of the NES Classic? Chris, I'm going right to you, man.
Wait, he's talking about NES Classic specific?
Yeah, apparently they're gonna get a new shipment. This is news to me. Actually, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that they're even going to have a new shipment? I thought they ran out.
Yeah, I thought they stopped and they were going to move on to like another classic system or whatever.
Scarcity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's in their control, so you do whatever they want. Like, I don't know. I just think this is just more of a sign to me. It's like everybody waiting for a virtual console. This is your answer, right? You're getting these. So will the demand be as high? I don't I don't know. I think they must have seen enough demand, like considering how people are crazy for this shit and people throwing them on eBay. But if you put more in the market, usually demand goes down. It's usually because people the availability goes up. So I would just say no. But I don't know if it'll be a marginal no, like it'll be a marginal difference or a big difference. I don't know. But it will definitely be less of demand than when they had it before, especially considering now that they released the SNES Classic and the selection of games was way better overall than the NES Classic. It doesn't look as good. So I would say those two factors alone would put it on a lower sales tier. Like people, and also people are looking forward to them making an N64 Classic, which the rumors are seems to be still happening. I don't know for sure. That's all speculation.
All right, I'm just going to agree with you on this one. You know, and again, it's like after if you have the SNES Classic, why would you want the NES Classic? You know, you
Because
want really
maybe some people wanted the NES Classic.
no, maybe well they want balloon fucking whatever the fuck the name of that game is
I mean,
called.
here's the thing,
Fight,
like
yeah.
it's money. So those things probably don't take a lot to. It's just
No,
a
they
piece
don't. But
of,
I don't think the demand will be as high. It won't be as insane and rabid as before. I don't think.
I mean, all they need to say is for a limited time, and people will fucking jump on that
Man,
shit.
the sad part is you're probably right. You know, but yeah, Nintendo fans have proven that. Yeah, they're Nintendo fans. All right, man.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that didn't get it. I didn't get it. You probably, I mean, you have it because you did that little Mega Man deal. But
yes,
yeah, I mean, sure, there's people that are still haven't gotten it and really want to get it, and they'll just put out another another small batch of them. They run out, and then they'll just do it again.
yeah. Maybe I'll buy another one. Who knows? All right. What's going on? Death or Ripers or Rippers? I don't know. All right. Next up here, G Megaforce, who is actually joining us in the chat room right now. Now, this first question is interesting. I could swear, G Megaforce, you asked us this question before, but I think you didn't like our answer. So I guess you're asking it again, just rewording it a little bit. All right, man. So he goes, and again, guys in the chat, in the panel, please forgive me if this sounds familiar because we've kind of addressed it before. But he's a little bit more to the point here, so maybe he'll get the answer he wants this time. All right. Why do people like to point out the Sony "quote unquote" formula for games? This would be big budget, AAA, single player focused, story driven, cinematic, third person games, praised for impressive graphics, polish, and high quality. People like to use this argument to say all Sony games are the same, like this is some kind of negative or a reason to downplay it. What do we think?
I think I think Sony has been just giving people what they want. They've proved the industry wrong because if you look at Activision, what was their whole um like game policy? Oh, people don't want single player experiences. Bobby kind of came out and said as much, right? And even was it Phil Spencer who said he thought single player experiences were
Yeah, he said they don't have impact.
have impact. Like this was the trend the industry was going on. The only one who was really bucking, like the only guys who were bucking is not just Sony. Like the only guys who were bucking that was Nintendo and Sony were bucking that trend, and Sony proved like look at God of War sales, look at Uncharted sales, whatever. They still do very well, and they were the only ones bucking that trend. Activision is willing to give you a fourth Black Ops game with no single player in it and just a freaking battle royale mode and call it a day, and that's a game, right?
But they do have a new single player game made by From Software.
Well, that's right that they're publishing Shadows Die Twice. I
Yep,
find
they're
that
publishing
very odd.
Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah, I don't know how that unholy alliance happened. From Software ended up with them, and like considering that Bloodborne as a Sony exclusive has done so well that Sony wouldn't snap that up. I don't get it, but
Yeah.
that so Activision does have it, but they got it. They probably threw money at it. That's the cheapest and easiest way to go. Oh shit, we were wrong. Let's get a good single player. Let's take that From Software. Hey, we'll publish your game. Like, but they don't believe in it. They'll do whatever gets them money, right? They say all that shit, but they were naturally progressing towards nobody wants single player. We want full multiplayer experience. Like look at Call of Duty always have it's like mediocre single player experiences. Like the Call of Duty stories may have been good, but they were usually impactful. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you shot up an airport full of people, or oh my god, I can't believe you detonated a nuclear bomb. Like it's just shock value, right? The story is not that deep. And Battlefield, forget it. Battlefield single player is ass in every single game. It's the multiplayer. So, no, people just care about the multiplayer. They're the only ones who gave a shit. So of course they put the money and time and investment in good stories or whatever required. Naughty Dog, built up Santa Monica so they could do this stuff. And look, it pays off. Like and you can't just say this is the Sony formula. What does Nintendo do? Nintendo has their formulas. Look at Mario games. Like look at even though Zelda as a whole like evolved maybe in like look and feel, and they changed some mechanics, it's still like at its heart, its soul is like the same as like going all the way back to N64. So they have their formulas too, but they work. Like it's just that the industry majorly pushed by greedy assholes at Activision and EA and stuff was trying to tell everyone that that's not important anymore, and they proved them wrong.
I think that like when you come to that sort of formula. But the thing is that, to be honest, like even if you look how many games that don't exactly fill that formula, and they still do quite well with them too. I mean, like you literally can list hundreds and hundreds of Sony created specific characters, just like you can do with Nintendo. But like the other guys, they kind of just lose it at some point, because all they were doing is just copycatting what everybody else was doing at the time.
Yeah, not every Sony game or fits the quote unquote formula either. Like Gravity Rush doesn't.
No,
Yeah,
I mean it is.
By the way, hello, Brett.
Hello.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a single player. It is a single player, but
it's not a big AAA, highly cinematic game at all.
It's single. You guys are splitting hairs a little bit. Like, here's how you're going to counter that narrative. What is a big multiplayer focused game that Sony has released?
That's only multiplayer, because The Last of Us has a huge multiplayer component.
Focused.
I don't think they have one of those.
They don't.
I could be. My bad. Even though the game sucked, Killzone Shadowfall.
That wasn't really multiplayer focused.
Yeah, it was.
That had some multiplayer tacked onto it.
It had multiplayer in it.
So are you saying Call of Duty isn't Call of Duty? Because it's essentially Call of Duty.
Shadows. Okay, no. Call of Duty and whatever.
Killzone.
Killzone. There we go. Thank you. Are not the same game. Killzone was built to be a both kind of game, but the entire Killzone franchise is based more off of the single player than the multiplayer. They were really trying to bring the multiplayer into it, but they weren't willing to sacrifice the single player. The majority of all Sony's games are single player focused. That's not a lie, but there's nothing wrong with saying that either.
Oh, Brett, the question is, why is that why do people use that as a pejorative against the company?
People use it. Okay, we need to split this up a little bit.
Actually, Brett, were you here when I asked the full question? Because I could break down.
Yeah,
okay,
I was.
Okay.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I was. I got here before you.
No, the reason I asked is just if you needed me to go over the specifics they listed. No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's you. Here's the thing: a lot of Sony's first-party games are the same. There is not that's not a lie. They have a common thread, the same way Microsoft games and Nintendo games both have their own common threads. It becomes a pejorative when in context. When you say it like they should have the other thing. There's nothing wrong with their approach to video games. It may not suit all people, though. If you are more multiplayer focused, Sony isn't going to pay attention to you as much. As a multiplayer focused game, myself being one, Sony will continue to disappoint you because they don't care about that type of game. That's not their thing. But you don't walk into a French restaurant and ask for fettuccine Alfredo. Like that's not their bag, man. So that's one of the many reasons I also picked up an Xbox. But Sony has never really been huge on trying to cater to the multiplayer experience audience. That happens a lot in their multi-plat games. But their single-player games are generally known for being mostly single-player, mostly narrative-driven with,
their first-party, you mean? Yeah, first-party, yeah.
They're first-party games. So the pejorative thing comes within context. If you're a gamer who's just like, man, Sony just never puts out any multiplayer games, like, okay, that's one way to look at it, and you can be pissy about that. On the other hand, you can sit there and say, Sony puts out awesome narrative single-player games that just blow everything else out of the water. Like, okay, that's also how you feel. Neither of those are wrong. You're both saying the same thing. It's just a matter of whether that fits what you're wanting or not. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's out of line to say Sony focuses more on narrative single-player games, and even then, Sony focuses on linear, non-open world single-player games more often than not. It focuses on cinematic, narrative-heavy games. But that's their approach, man. They like storytelling.
Yeah, and going back to what Chris said, Nintendo makes very specific games for its audience, and I know people obviously do give them shit about that, but like you said, if you don't want that, you could go to the other restaurant. You know. Also, quick thing, Seth. Yakuza is not a first-party game, so that doesn't count into this conversation. Anyway, go ahead.
The only reason why Yakuza is probably that way is because maybe, I don't know, probably because Sega makes them a lot of money in Japan, and a lot more people have PlayStation 4s than they do Xboxes. So it doesn't make any sense for them to go toe to toe with that one. Let's see. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh well.
Throwdown. Master Shake says Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone are nothing alike. Gameplay wise, no, but third person cinematic, yes. You know,
this is exactly what I was saying. Like, they all feel mostly the same in that all big budget, in your face, cinematics, storytelling games. And one thing that I've noticed in the question is that he doesn't mention like the level of gameplay. He just assumes that the gameplay will be there. And this is one of the reasons why I have a problem with the Sony formula. Is because I don't feel like any of the games have gameplay that is outstanding. I feel like the gameplay is just average at best, sometimes good, and that's about it. Because that's all they needed to do, as the story will carry the rest of the game. And to me, that is a problem because then I'm just getting bombarded with games that gameplay-wise are just kind of like, it exists, it's a thing. It's not terrible, it's not great, but it's there. And that's what I don't like. And that's one of the reasons why I don't play many Sony exclusives. Because again, the formula's all the same, the gameplay is not that exciting. Hence, I just say, not fussed, not
Are you
fussed.
just
not fussed.
Are you just talking first party or just exclusives in general?
Exclusives.
First party
Sony-
exclusives.
first party because-
exclusives.
Yeah, because again, it follows the same formula of just like, hey, here's a game, and look how great the graphics are, and look how much the story is. And it's like, for the most part, I don't play the game like to play the story. Like, the story you get like first time, maybe second time round. But what carries the game for me for like the fifth and sixth time round is the gameplay. And if games don't have that, then I have no reason to buy them. Because again, I want to play games multiple times. And problem is with me that the Sony formula does not allow me to play games multiple times. It just makes me play the game once and twice, and that's me pretty much done with it. And after that, you pretty much got your money's worth.
Can I ask you?
You'll like this, Brian. Cal says they're Oscar bait games.
Oscar bait games? No, I would say that indie games are
No, they are Game of the Year bait. That's what they are.
Yeah, but that's what he's trying to say, though.
Oh, definitely. What's up, Carlos?
So what would be like an example of a first party exclusive game that you would say does serve the criteria that you want?
The original God of War.
Yeah, the original God of War. There you go.
I'd say that.
Because I don't know from what you mentioned, like I don't think anybody does what you want. To be honest,
SOCOM. That has really good gameplay, decent enough story, but the gameplay carried through. Again, for those of you that don't know, SOCOM was amazing. Then Sony killed Zipper, and then that was the end of that. So yeah, SOCOM used to be it, and this is actually one of the reasons why I'm falling out of love with Sony. Is that they used to have great franchises that did that, but then over the years they started to slowly streamline everything down to quote unquote the Sony formula, and hence it made people like me just fall out of love with them.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not as pessimistic about these kinds of things. Like I understand that the formula for sure is third person cinematic type games, but the experience I had in God of War as opposed to the experience I had in Horizon Zero Dawn is just, to me, completely different. It follows the same kind of guidelines, but the gameplay to me felt different. It's just two different experiences, and I enjoyed them for what they were. So I don't know, am I being too am I not being too critical on this, or is Brian being over pessimistic? I don't even know.
Maybe the answer is a little bit of both. By the way, now that because we did talk about this before, I said that most AAA games in general follow the same formula, so you can't really fault Sony for sticking to a specific formula where every other third party big AAA game follows the same basic thing. If you pick up, when I picked up Horizon Zero Dawn, that game plays exactly like every other game out there, which is fine, because that way you don't have to worry about fucking controls or anything. So, but the point is, you can't really fault Sony for having a specific type of brand when everybody else does too. Nintendo's the other big one that their games are very, even if they're like different genres, they're very Nintendo-ish games. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and again, Assassin's Creed plays like Tomb Raider, plays like Uncharted. You know what I'm saying? They all play basically the same. So you can't really fault Sony for that.
Where they kind of pick that kind of open worldish area. Every button still does the same thing in each one of them, with maybe some variations. And
obviously, I'm just talking about myself here. I don't mind that, because I'm really into for a game for the the story, the narrative, the experience, right? So the fact that I don't have to remember different button layouts for every game, I kind of like that. I don't mind that. It's like, okay, I don't have to worry about controls. I could just get myself immersed in the experience. But that's just me, though. Obviously, some people want more gamey games, as I like to call them, which is fine too.
When you look at a game like God of War, the new God of War, it doesn't really kind of follow the kind of same sorts of control convention.
It still has light jabs, hard attacks, all shit like that.
It still has that parries, stuff, but he can't jump anymore. You
can't jump anymore. That's the only thing. But for the most part,
kind of a tactic, which is kind of a part of a tactic. There's no real platforming in the games anymore.
Well, there is actually.
Really.
God of War does have a lot of platforming. It's just different.
No, it's not.
Andy, I played the game, dude. I played the game.
Listen,
you've watched the game on YouTube, son.
All it is that I can't even call that sort of platforming.
It is platforming.
The way all it is, because there's no, dude. All you do is just run. What you do is the most platforming this game has is you run at an edge and he jumps over it, or the thing is he follows essentially a little road up a wall, and then they talk.
Oh, really? So all the actual platforming, they have to do climbing shit and all that, it doesn't count.
That's not platforming.
Okay. I guess we changed the definition of platforming tonight.
That's not. Are you jumping? I mean, what you're jumping? There's no. I mean, what is it? It's just you're just essentially running him off of edge, and he automatically jumps off of that. Does that? Will you die if you don't do that? No.
So you have to die for the platforming to count.
Well, but that's not really platforming.
It is platforming, dude.
I'm with Manny on this one, because then Assassin's Creed would be a platformer.
It is a platformer.
That's not a platformer.
It's a super platformer. What are you talking about?
It has platforming elements, but it's not
it's not a platformer.
No, it's not like Mario, but it has platforming in it, man.
Sorry, question. Yeah. Do you have to time your jumps?
No.
And it's not a platformer.
Not a platform.
Okay, you guys have a different definition. If you're platforming, if you're jumping over platforms, it's a platformer.
No. Do you have to time your jumps? If you
that's
don't
irrelevant.
Have
that's irrelevant.
Then it's not a platform.
That's irrelevant, though. No, it isn't.
It is, because if you have to time your jumps, then you have to navigate from one platform.
You actually have to use some sort of skill to get to the other side, rather than having the game jump.
Okay, you guys have a different definition. For me, it's if you're jumping from platform and climbing shit, it's a platformer. But you guys are throwing skill in there, which I guess I understand. But
it's not skill. It's just timing. So because it has some sort of input from you in terms of you have to cognitively actually do the timing itself, then it becomes a platformer. Otherwise, it's just.
But if you don't press anything, you're not going to. Kratos is just going to stand there. You have to get him to move.
No, you don't need to.
Is Pong a platformer?
What happened?
Is Pong a platformer?
No, of course not.
Well, it's a platform that moves from one side to the other.
That's not a platform. That represents a paddle, dude. Come on.
Well, but it's a platform that moves from one side to the other. It's not a platform.
That's a paddle. It just didn't
look like it. I'm using your definition,
okay.
Man.
I'm using. What the fuck are you talking about? Now you're splitting hairs, dude. It's a paddle, and that little dot is supposed to be a ball. You know that. You're trying to like fuck things around right now. Platforming is a character jumping from shit, climbing stuff. That's platforming.
I mean, the thing is that, to be honest, it's like
I didn't realize paddles were characters in a game. Shit, I just found out something new tonight.
No, man, it's a character.
But anyway, we're getting way
I mean,
off
but
the thing.
I think again, like what were we talking about again?
I don't. We're gonna move on. It was about Sony's formula, and I
Oh
basically.
yeah, I'm gonna say this. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I don't think every single game follows the formula, and I think a lot of games have those sorts of elements in there. You look at a game like Gears of War, you could easily say, "Oh, yeah, that's a PlayStation sort of game too," right? Because it's a third-person cinematic, story-driven game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Most third-person games in general are the same. You know.
I think
Most
that
Microsoft games too. Recore, Quantum Break.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? They're all kind of following the same formula.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that other
Titanfall.
companies don't have the formula. We're just saying that this is the Sony formula.
Yes,
like,
yes.
I don't understand why we keep deviating like away from the question and like start introducing other stuff. Like, no one's arguing that Microsoft doesn't have a formula, or Sony doesn't. Or Nintendo does not have a formula. Like, they all have their formula.
No one's arguing that Sony doesn't have a formula. Everyone agrees Sony has a formula, just like Nintendo.
So why are we like talking about like stuff that's outside the question? Like,
No,
the question is
just to give it more,
why are
context.
people-
Otherwise, we could answer this shit in 5 seconds and move on. You know how we do it, Brian. We gotta inject. We gotta make things a little bit richer for the people. You know,
Because the question was, why do people have a problem with the PlayStation formula? And we're just trying to see, do people think that only PlayStation has a formula?
Yeah.
Because if people thought that, then that's probably the reason why.
Yeah,
But
there you
once
go.
you tell people Microsoft has a formula, Nintendo has a formula, then I think people would not see it as in a negative kind of connotation as they would be.
Yeah, because like Nintendo obviously has a formula. No one really talks about that. Microsoft has a formula. No one talks about it. Sony. People talk about that. It's very interesting. You know.
Well, they're the ones that are number one. So people also talk about number one. So.
Yep, that's right. I mean, going back to Fortnite, that's what's going on there. You got to bring down the top dog.
It's the zeitgeist.
Yes. All right, let's move on here. G Megaforce with your long ass questions, but I'm gonna go through this one. I may not answer it though. All right. Yeah, it's one of those. All right. Does Naughty Dog care about social issues more than sales? Naughty Dog has willingly upset some of their target audience. Some people who have more conservative values do not like the fact that they were showcasing the lesbian kiss as their centerpiece of their Last of Us 2 video. They most likely will not buy the game. Alternatively, they could have just shown violent gameplay and whatnot, leave the kiss out of promotional videos, but still have it in the game, and it would have got higher sales because at that point, it wouldn't look like they were trying to push social issues. So why would Naughty Dog do something that they know will lower their sales? I need to say this: you're making an assumption right there that this is going to hurt sales. You're making a huge assumption there, you know. But anyway, you guys go ahead, answer.
Did you watch my reaction trailer with that, man? That should make. I'm probably gonna buy 3 of those games.
I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think that game's gonna hurt, but that kiss is not gonna hurt sales. I'm just gonna throw that. I do not think that's gonna hurt that at all.
Everybody's kind of acting like everybody's acting surprised that fucking Ellie is gay.
Did motherfuckers not play the DLC?
I haven't played the DLC, but fuck, I had every single motherfucker ruin the goddamn thing. I know. Come on, you've got to have heard something.
Hey, it's the same people who haven't seen the ending of Final Fantasy VII, man. Does that mean they're gonna have a scene blocked thing for that kiss in the Last of Us DLC?
Well, I mean, God. You know, the thing is, it's like I don't know why anybody has an issue with it. I did think that somebody said that he felt it was a little bit, on the nose, but I'm like, at the same time, well, let's go back to the Sony formula. They're going back to story. So, I don't know. But to be honest, what was the question again? I'm totally blacking out.
All right, somebody else jump in, man.
It's they just kissed. There was no overlying statement within that kiss because you don't know those people. You don't know what they're trying to say. Like that's
I know, Carlos.
What's that?
I once watched I think like an hour long thing that Neil Druckmann did, and yeah, I can understand his views now. And like, he is quite definitely like, hey, let's push the progressive narrative out there. Let's have more champion this, more champion that. So I'm willing to bet that Neil Druckmann and his squad were willing to do that simply to say, hey, look, we we are this type of way. Like these are our values. These are our politics. I'm willing to bet that that is the case, rather than just like, hey, this is like a character who, for the most part, makes sense that they are gay. So yeah, I am willing to
Well,
bet that.
yeah, but that kiss didn't come with any sort of like like they're releasing that trailer, right? And it just so happens that two girls are kissing. That's where the message ends. Like the only agendas people come up with are the ones that their preconceived notions will determine.
That's
Like
not true.
yeah, because people are think, oh, this is a progressive statement, and that's obviously going to come from progressives. Other people are going to be like, oh, they're screwing over, like, I don't know, some people are going to think about it differently, you know, like this is all.
Okay, here's the thing. They went out of their way to double down on that. And if they had given adequate context, this conversation would not be happening in the first place. So we do know, and we can walk away saying, like, that kiss did not seem like it necessarily belonged in there. And the way that they framed it did come across as a bit ham-fisted. There was no context. We've gone over this both on and off the show in the sense that that presentation gave very little context to many of Ellie's actions. We're not sure where any of these actually take place. It's all super vague. We don't know even what happens first or the chronological order of the events, what's a flashback and what's not. That tells me that their message is very muddy and or very intentionally vague. But the one thing that you are absolutely sure of, the one piece of concrete information you got, is Ellie likes kissing ladies. And I don't fucking care. But I do see it as a targeted message. I do see it as a stance to appear progressive and going out of their way to show everybody how progressive they are, because they didn't leave the context of the game. And again, I'll go back to, if we knew why this was Ellie's girlfriend or what Ellie's girlfriend had to do with the story, then for 80% of these people, there will always be a good chunk that are unhappy, and there's honestly dickheads. But if we had given some context, I think it would have made a lot of people more happy. Much happier.
But what would that context have to be? It's like, let me explain to you why this girl is kissing another girl, or let me explain to you why Ellie is kissing this specific girl. Because if you get to that point, then it contradicts what a teaser is. This is supposed to be a tease of what the game is supposed to be.
Not necessarily. I mean, you do any kind of gender swap or anything like that. If a guy is kissing a girl, and then it flashes back to, a guy stabbing somebody in the face, most likely the narrative is he's thinking back on happier times. And then it comes down to, like, what brought this character from point A to point B? Any male protagonist, that would absolutely make sense. I don't understand why it should be any different for Ellie, because she's a female protagonist. You don't have to leave it as, oh, she's kissing this girl. Why is she kissing this girl? Because you don't do that with guys. Oh, he's a guy. Why is he kissing this girl? Your question then becomes, who is that? Is that his wife? Is that his girlfriend? Is it just some bar skank kind of thing? Like, you want to know. And obviously, this isn't just some random slut. So, if this were John Marston kissing a woman and then riding off into the sunset, we'd all be asking the question, who is that woman?
Yeah,
same thing with Ellie.
The whole purpose of that scene is, and Hussein mentioned it, the kiss was to contrast the violence that happens. And sort of those two, like, juxtapositions, and it just so happens that Ellie happens to be gay, and that's the only reason why that kiss is prominent within that trailer. I think you're just trying to figure out, like, you're trying to sort of paint the whole picture. It's like, why?
Yeah, you're looking at thematics and narratives. Okay, the thematics, yes, that absolutely makes sense. You go from hyperviolence to calm, sweet nature. Like, that's understandable, but you can't have a movie just made of art. You can't just have a movie made of just art expression.
But you're not watching a movie, you're watching the trailer.
Yeah, and the trailer should give you some sense of what it's narratively trying to tell you.
Yeah, but I mean, well, I don't like a lot of trailers don't do that, but if that is true,
Death Stranding.
Yeah, I have problems with Death Stranding's trailer. Trust me.
But the fact that then there's a possibility that they just didn't do a good teaser trailer. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is just an agenda focused thing. That
no, I'm not saying it is. That's exactly what I'm saying. That this is a bad teaser trailer. They didn't do a good job of it. And these are the reasons why I don't think that they did a good job of it. I don't necessarily think that this was intended to come out as like, we're going to make a huge statement. It's like, it's, you know, cutting and weighing, you know, what do we cut out? What do we put in? What do we cut out? This is going to be really well received, so they put it in there. I'm just mad that they didn't expand on the narrative enough in the trailer to put context to literally anything. There's far too many questions surrounding the beginning of this game, and I realize it's a teaser, but there are so many other games and so many narrative ways that you could have driven that home. Hyper-violent reality, drifting back into, you know, past trauma, past dark times, living in hyper-violent current trauma, drifting back into better times. That is a perfectly valid narrative, and I know for a fact the narrative that the game is based on. And I don't think that you would have lost anything by making that a little bit clearer to audiences. In fact, I think you would have gained something, because the whole narrative of Ellie really loved this girl. She had strong feelings. This was her home. You notice how bright and shiny and peaceful, and everything's like a beautiful dream sequence. And then it's juxtaposed by this horrible violence. And so that leads you to the question of, what happened, Ellie? What happened to lead you from this beautiful dream to this current nightmare that you're living in? How does that affect you? And that is, in fact, what the game is about. And that is all just barely – you can portray all of those thematics in the trailer by putting just a little bit more context to it, and then a lot of this would have just died down. Where I get a little bit upset is I can't help but feel like they left it intentionally vague to spark these types of conversation based off of the kiss. And when you do that kind of thing, that's leveraging hot button issues to try and push your game. So one of two things happens in my mind. Either this is a bad trailer, or it's a trailer that is targeted. And I really honestly don't know which.
Because the first trailer that came out was super focused, and people criticized it, like the mainstream media criticized it because of the violence. And then the second trailer came out, this one we watched at E3. What was everyone complaining about again? The violence. So if they're trying to push an agenda, then or these thematics that people are saying that they're doing a bad job at it, because everyone's been talking about the violence consistently since the first trailer came out.
And I think that's why they kind of landed hard on the kiss is, you know, they don't want to necessarily explain to you why. And I understand this. They don't want to explain to you why Ellie is so hyper violent. I mean, they could kind of technically, like, Ellie is dealing with the trauma of some great loss, and that's going to manifest itself in ways that are brutal. And you're supposed to be kind of uncomfortable with Ellie as a character because she's supposed to be kind of towing a line that you're not really all that sure about. So I think that's all good, but I can understand why they didn't necessarily want to push that super hard. I don't think that hiding behind, you know, yes, we have a lot of violence, but look at how progressive we are too. Like, I get it. I just think that, again, it wouldn't have hurt to put some context to why Ellie's doing these things, to who this girl is. I mean, honestly, even it would have made more sense and be more like, you know, the alt-right motherfuckers would hate even more that this isn't just some bitch Ellie kiss. This is a relationship. These two were in love. They were going to spend the rest of their life together. Like, oh my God, that's two girls kissing at a party is one thing. Two girls wanting to settle down and have non-babies or have babies or however you do it. In the post-apocalyptic world, I don't think artificial. Anyway, two ladies wanting to settle down and build a life together, way fucking scarier to conservative-minded people. So I don't think that establishing that this was a relationship of Ellie's, this wasn't just a crush, this was a relationship of Ellie's, I don't think it would have been negatively impactful.
I just think you're trying to get too much from this trailer, to be honest.
Yeah, that goes back to what we discussed before. We're not going to get into that now, you know. Did everybody get what they wanted to say about this out there?
No, it's just me and Brad, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't have any issue with it. One thing I do feel like is that everybody, and you guys didn't hear this at the on the stream, but everybody kind of in the room, a lot of people in the room kind of lost their mind when they saw that, which is kind of interesting. Because, I mean, yes,
lost their mind in a good way, by the way.
Lost their mind in a good way, where they were like, woo, woo! Like they just saw a friggin' baseball game. To be honest, you know, like they're at a baseball game. At the same time, I feel like
the kiss, right? You're talking about the kiss.
Yeah.
Oh,
the actual kiss.
Well, you know why? Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of lost their mind off of that stuff. I mean, to be honest, I hate to say that, but this is our world now. And to be honest, it's like seeing two people kissing on the street, no matter, two males or two females. That's normal now. That's our world now. That doesn't officially. That to me. That's not a reason to cheer or boo. It's just there.
No, but you can't say that you would have gotten the same reaction off of a straight couple kissing. Let's just
no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have gotten you definitely wouldn't have gotten the same sort of the same sort of pop off of it.
Well, I think it's because, so honestly, I think you're saying in the room a lot of people like cheered, right?
Yeah, all the gaming journalists.
Which is fine. Yeah,
that's fine.
Because I do think the reaction to it was a little bit over than it needed to be. To be honest, I feel like it's like, okay, yeah, that's two people kissing, great.
Don't underestimate people's fantasies in that room. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, fair enough. By the way,
here's a good question. Would they cheer as much if it was two dudes kissing?
No, they wouldn't.
We still haven't seen that one yet.
Exactly. Good. That's a good point. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have cheered as much if it was two dudes.
I want to quickly throw in something related. Seth asks us, how much do we know of Ghost of Tsushima from the Ant-Man trailer? He's trying to say that trailers don't give you everything, which I agree with. You can't expect a trailer to just give you everything. Gotta leave it with something.
Ghost of Tsushima is about the main character on a quest for vengeance through feudal Japan.
Do we know he's going for vengeance?
I'd have to look at it again. But
hey, thank you, Deathstrike, for hosting us. It just seemed like he's just fighting against these motherfucking Mongols.
He's fighting against from the trailer. He's fighting against Mongols, and his friend betrays him. That's all we know.
Yeah. Ooh, we're getting some good questions here.
Mongols.
What the fuck are we right
about
now?
Death Stranding, I still have beef with Death Stranding. I have no idea what the fuck that game is about.
I don't know either. And you know what? I'm taking the David Lynch stance on this sort of situation. It's visuals for the sake of visuals. The director knows what those visuals are, but we don't. And if we keep trying to figure the damn thing out, we're gonna drive ourselves nuts. So I'm kind of done analyzing any Death Stranding stuff and just kind of letting the visuals just come, because that's all it is.
And that makes sense. But to pull a parallel, Death Stranding is going off of a lot of shock imagery. They're like, a baby in Norman Reedus' throat. And they're kind of leaving you with that. Mm-hmm. They're making an impact and then backing away. And that's a perfectly fine way to do things. And I'm not saying that The Last of Us, it did bad in what they did, but you can't deny the fact that got a huge crowd reaction. And of course they're going to lean into that because it's going to reflect favorably on that. Again, understandable. I have no beef with that. The only semi-beef I actually have is you leaned into it a little too hard. You had 12 minutes to tell us a lot about the game, and we didn't really get a lot of concrete information for 12 minutes. That's the other part that should be bolded, underlined. A 12-minute trailer should, in my opinion, have given us a little bit more information, a little bit more context of this.
Yeah, but going back to the whole discussion that we had, it's like, it's a fucking Last of Us game. We already know, like,
we know post-apocalyptic world. We know that.
Exactly. I want to move on because we got a bunch of questions. We're still getting them.
Yo.
The Super Artist 10,000 ask this about The Last of Us. This is a good speculating one. Do you think Ellie infected the girl she kissed in the trailer? That's been one of the theories I've been hearing about. Here's the thing: Ellie cannot make other people zombies, as far as I know. She can't infect. Like, she's immune to that shit. So I think, short of like, blood. No, but she can't. That's never been established in the game that she could infect people.
Oh, that is actually a really good.
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a great question.
Because did she infect? Because you remember, like, her and the other girl supposedly got infected at the same time, right?
Yes. Yeah, they both got bit.
Is she like Rogue, where she can't even have physical contact with people because she's got cordyceps hanging around in her brain?
I'm gonna think it's kind of like maybe like AIDS, like, there's no blood being transferred. So, but even then, her thing is not a disease. You know what I'm saying? She's just immune.
There's a difference between immunity.
Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah,
immunity and being a non-symptom displaying carrier. And I think they actually state in the beginning of the first game in the first game that she has an immunity.
Yeah,
not
she has
that
an immunity.
Doesn't express symptoms.
No,
Exactly.
didn't they say she's a non-system carrier? Like, in other words, something about the way her makeup is that she still has the disease. She just hasn't shown the.
No, that they haven't explained. They said that she is immune to it. She's just immune to it. Period.
And that's why they think that they can derive a cure from her.
Yeah.
And that's actually a little bit more scientifically accurate. You can't derive a cure from somebody who just presents no symptoms. What you can do is look into their genetics and see why they present no symptoms. But they want to make a cure, and to do that, they need to find the internal mechanism that makes it so that Ellie's body fights this off, meaning that she is completely immune. And then, figure out how to synthesize that to be able to give it to other people. My thing, and from what I realize I've read a little bit more, so I know some stuff that may be a little bit spoiler, but look at the way that Ellie brutalizes the people around her. I'm telling you, somebody, an actual person leading an event, most likely a raid or something, or some of the horrible people out there, somebody takes this away from Ellie. I think that's going to be a very important thematic note, because Ellie is blaming the whole world for this small group of people who actually hurt her, and now she's visiting violence upon a greater number of people that have actually visited violence upon her. That's really important in the thematics, because it deals with trying to not become a monster in the face of monstrous tragedy and action. And that's what the game is mostly going to be about. The game is going to be heavily based around Ellie and her trauma. So we really have to look at this about, okay, so there's a girl here, and there's something traumatic that took this away, that led her to lash out to the world and almost give up her humanity. So that's the catalyst that we really should be looking for. And my answer to that is probably, like I said, some raider motherfuckers probably came in, killed a whole bunch of people, and burned the town to the ground, or some other faction. That's the part I don't know. But what I do know is that she is going to be dealing with a lot of loss, and trying to retain her humanity in the face of this loss is a big part of the story of the game. So that inevitably leads us to, why would she be worrying about losing her humanity if she were the one that infected somebody?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's just immune to it, all right.
But it's an interesting thought. I mean,
Yeah, no, I did. I'm guessing some people just forgot that fact. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. But she's just, it's like Wolverine. She's just immune, And just like Wolverine, they always try to take his blood in case some crazy disease comes around, All right, let's move on here. Antonio Suarez, 24Z, asked, knowing Microsoft's track record, do you trust the company to keep its promises about the exclusives they announced during E3? Listen, you gotta. I know they have a track record, but you have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're gonna put the games out. Whether they do or not, we don't really know. It's too early, but you have to just go with it and say, yeah, sure, they're gonna put them out. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. I can't say, but you got to give them the benefit of the doubt in this one.
I mean, I can't. Whatever they decide. I mean, I can't. I don't know. I mean. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, we're as long as if they don't switch guards in between the time that they do it, and the next guy decides to cancel everything.
Yeah,
the last guy did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
right.
Again,
yeah. Go ahead.
The exclusives they announced at E3 were Halo, Gears, Forza. Like they showed.
I think he's mostly talking about the new ones from the new parties they acquired. I think he's talking about those.
The problem is they didn't really announce anything. They just announced that they're working on anything.
Yeah, the only one they announced is We Happy Few. It's like, okay, we got this as an exclusive now.
Yeah, We Happy Few's already coming out, and that's still a multi-plat game.
Yeah, it's multi-plat. It's not. It's not an exclusive.
Carlos, you bring up a good point. The third parties they did announce, we know we're coming. Halo's coming. Forza's coming. Gears is coming. So yeah, we really don't have any reason to doubt those games.
Yeah, and we can pretty much know that those studios are for sure they're not going to lie on that.
yeah.
The thing is that and that's, I feel like, the one failure of the Microsoft thing is the fact that they purposely made it a bit vague as to when these games are going to be, these games are going to be coming out soon.
When Forza's dropping.
Yes, Forza drop. Or whether some of these games are coming, like the one like from Ninja Theory, whatever game that they're working on. That game is not going to be done for another 4 or 5 years.
You would say it's coming up for the next generation?
I definitely think they're doing that, and they were purposely vague about that.
Yes.
I definitely think that the Xbox whatever that's coming after this is the reset button.
Yo, man, Scarlet. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, what about the rest of you guys? Any doubts about Microsoft's exclusives here?
No, not really. I mean, there may be delays and stuff, but I believe they'll fulfill most of them. Some of them are indies, so that's not really up to them. I think they announce what they they think is going to be out and whenever, and plenty of companies have delays. I don't think they're lying about any of it.
No.
You know? So there's nothing more to be said. Yeah.
But the thing about it is, like, they aren't like, whenever these they put out, say they're going to announce a game and then it never comes out. It's not officially a lie, is it either? Right? Because games get canceled. Is that a lie?
Yeah, that's a great point, actually.
I mean, a lie means that they intend to announce something and never, fully come through on it. Usually games get canceled and that's it.
Yeah, basically them lying would be like, they know for a fact this game's going to get canceled, but they announced a release date anyway, That's a lie. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, like, oh, hey, yeah, this is, or the game was not even in development. They just announced the game to announce a game, and there was never anything in the cards. They just did it to get the pop out of the crowd, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up, still about first-party games, but this one's about Sony. All right, Sony made a statement a while back that they are doubling down on first-party exclusives. How will they achieve this?
Doubling down on first-party exclusives. I mean,
simple. Have your little indie games come out. That's how. I
mean, like, in other words, just invest in a bunch of companies that are making games as well. It's not that difficult.
And I suspect a lot of these games, not all of them, but a lot of them are going to be announced at TGS because they already said they're coming. So I suspect some announcements, some of the smaller, like Sony's Tokyo studio, whatever.
Yeah. Like, Sony, what is it? So the
Japan studio,
who developed Gravity Rush and a bunch of other games. Yeah, what are they doing right now?
Here's the thing. A lot of people focus on, like, Naughty Dog or Santa Monica. Sony has a ton of little indie studios,
Mm-hmm.
And all of those are exclusives. Yeah. Technically, they're all exclusives. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I'm just saying, you guys nailed it. I don't need to say anymore. They just put everyone to work. Like, they're not acquiring any more studios. They have plenty.
They don't need to. It's not like Microsoft. They don't need to. They got plenty.
Microsoft had their, they created their Sony, their Halo studio and their other studio. Now they need studios that can do stuff that are other than those two things.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here. Matt Wheaton. So his question is: do you guys think Daemon X Machina is the Armored Core spiritual successor that many people, myself included, have been waiting for, especially with the original Armored Core team on this project, Shoji Kawamori included? I didn't know this game existed until you asked this question. I saw the trailer. Sure, why not? Especially if they got the same guys, why not? It's a Switch game. That's why I didn't know about it. I'm just being real, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
No, I mean, maybe it is the Armored Core, the successor that you've been waiting for. Who knows?
Yeah, we shall see.
It just had, Square years ago had the guy who originally created Strider create a game for them, and it pretty much was like the spiritual successor to Strider. So yeah, why not?
I didn't like that game either, man. I know which one you're talking about too.
Yeah, it was a little bit boring.
Yes,
let's just to be honest.
It was boring and grindy. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm. Come on, man. Like they had you play levels over and over again. It was a little
Moon something. I don't know.
Moon Diver.
There you go. We ain't that old, man. All right, moving on here, Mr. Digital Tiger 777. All right, he goes, instead of begging / pestering Sony about crossplay / cross-dressing in Fortnite, Microsoft should focus on removing Fortnite from the Xbox Live Gold paywall. They should also crack the whip on Bluehole to get that $30 PUBG alpha up to par with the free-to-play Fortnite and H1Z1, both of which play way better. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, that's something people aren't really talking about, that, Fortnite ain't free on Xbox. Technically speaking, it ain't free. But as Torrance, hold on, let me finish. But as Torrance pointed out, people are already paying for Xbox Live anyway, so they probably didn't notice. You know.
Yeah.
And Tony, it's their platform. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a problem at all. But yeah,
and also the smart business.
It is.
Decision. You lock your free games behind the paywall.
Yeah.
I'll-
I love how
Make
Brian's
money.
trying. By the way, I love how Brian's trying to use my arguments against me when I completely agree with that. Like, I'm consistent as a motherfucker. You already know, son.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
know the thing.
But
about
I do find it interesting that people beefing about the shit do not mention that fact. Very interesting.
it's because it's not in the fucking zeitgeist. Nobody's paying a fucking attention. That's why.
Yeah.
What does one have to do with the other?
Because aren't they both bad? You know, according to people.
Okay,
In
that is
our
the biggest form of whataboutism, though, I've
Here's
ever.
the-
Like,
here's
that is
the-
not a good, stable argument.
Yeah,
Here's
the reason I haven't brought it up is because to me it feels like, hey, what is it like? Justifying bad behavior with more bad behavior. That's why I haven't
With
brought it
other
up myself.
unrelated bad behavior. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is literally what whataboutism is. And it's
Yeah.
the reason half of everything that we're in today it's the reason we live in the fucking society that we do. Like, you can't just point out something bad one person does and see that justifies other unrelated bad behavior on another point. Like, yes, it is a bit dick for Sony, or a bit dick for Microsoft to hide that behind the paywall. And the real world solution is for Sony to fucking call them out on that shit. They're like, okay, yeah, we may not have cross-platform, we may have, we may not necessarily be able to play for hands with everybody, but we do allow our people to play Fortnite without having to have an online pass because we believe gaming is for gamers and for everyone.
Can you play Fortnite without the online pass on the Switch?
Oh,
Oh wait, they don't have an online pass.
Oh.
Sorry.
I
Wait,
thought you were
so-
gonna. Go ahead.
No,
So
that was not a rhetorical. Manny knew exactly what he was doing.
So you can play Fortnite without PSN on PlayStation?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
I don't see why there's not a bigger freaking uproar over this shit. Because that's something like kind of like how I mentioned with the shit we talked about earlier with Fortnite on PlayStation crossplay. It's like if someone's doing something that doesn't make sense or not that doesn't make sense for something that a lot of people want, it's like why don't people advocate more for this? Like why do you have to pay for fucking Xbox Live to play Fortnite? It's a free to play game
Most people don't
on their
know,
servers.
because
We
most people
did
don't
talk
know.
about this. Yeah, we did talk about this like way back, like towards the start when Microsoft did announce these games. So yeah, we did actually say like this is some bullshit,
Yeah.
just for reference.
But also, these are affecting two completely different groups of people, and that's why I say it's a non-substantial whataboutism argument. The people, as Soren said, most people who play online games already have an online pass, whether it be Sony or Microsoft. So for a lot of people, this doesn't really affect their world, even in a feasible way. Like they're not planning on having a time where they're not going to be buying PSN or Xbox Live. They just buy it for 6 months a year at a time. It's in their budget. It's just part of their plan. So this or that never affects them. The ability for them not to be able to play with their buddy who also owns Fortnite, because everybody's playing Fortnite, but you don't have the same system, that may actually affect someone's life. So that's going to directly dictate how much of a response you get. Like, you could have the biggest issue in the world affect everybody else. As long as it doesn't affect you, 90% of the people won't step up and say anything because it's not their problem. Now, you will still will have 10% of people like myself and or Brian who say this is kind of a slippery slope, and where does this lead us? This may not affect me, but the principles behind this thing affect me and the industry, and so I'm going to have a stake or care. But for the most part, people only care about things that punch through their insulated bubble. And you're gonna have to understand, it's a lot more important to people in the real world sense of not being able to play Fortnite with their friends than getting it for free on something that you're already paying for. Like, again, you're already paying for Xbox Live. You don't really give a shit if it's free for the other guys because you're going to be buying Xbox Live anyway. It's enough to elicit a grumble, like, blah, 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 blah. I should get that for free too, goddammit. Whatever, I'm already buying it for the other games I'm playing, so I guess it's fine. Whereas the other one is like, what do you mean I can't play Fortnite with Dave? That's bullshit. I should be able to play Fortnite. Sony's letting me, or Microsoft's letting me play Fortnite with Dave on his Switch. I don't know why Dave just bought a fucking Switch and nothing else because he can't play real games on it, but he did. We all want to play Fortnite together, and I want to play with his dumb ass. There's a lot more of those people out in the world. But again, it's not about real world practices, as I've said before. I'm going to be consistent in that. It doesn't really matter what happens in the real world. It matters who's winning the popularity contest. And Sony's response should be, we give that shit away for free, yo. And then point the finger at Microsoft and see what Microsoft does.
By the way, I loved Sony's response to all this the next day. He's like, hey, here we go. PS4 bundle with Fortnite with a free skin you can't get anywhere else. Damn, that pimp hand is strong. You know, that shit is hilarious, man. But you're right about that, Brad. Tony should be like, oh, yeah, you know, we give our shit away for free. I'm just saying. Oh, man. All right.
I don't think
go ahead, Brian.
It's just like really dumb. And for the record, I actually did say that this was like a really dumb idea. Like way back when Xbox started charging for online play, I was like, no, you should not be charging for online play because that's quite basic. And then it turned out Sony jumped on the bandwagon, and now we get to this situation. So this is actually one of the reasons why I said, nope, I'm okay with consoles. They can just do the dumb nonsense, and I won't give a damn. Because I was there. I said that this was fucking dumb, like way back when.
That is true.
Everyone just said, oh, but Brian, it will improve the service. I was like, no, it won't make things worse. Now things are worse. Like, hey, you know what? This is your shit. You swim in it. You enjoy your shit.
Come on. You can't tell me Steam provides a better service.
Oh, hell yes.
Uh-oh.
Can you gift games? Can you gift games on PlayStation?
Guys, quickly, just give me a second.
No.
Hold on, give me a second, guys. I need to get my popcorn. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna love this shit. Go ahead, please.
Steam chat is janky, basic, and unworkable 90% of the time, and the anti-cheat measures placed on by Steam are bullshit and laughable.
Does PlayStation have refunds? No. What the fuck's up with that? Like, you can buy almost anything in this world brand new, and there's a refund service apart from digital games on PSN.
You can argue. You can argue that they're more customer friendly, but in terms of the quality of their service, no. The things that you get for paying for PlayStation, like the access to servers, the access to the messaging system.
What do you get for playing with PlayStation? Like, right? Okay. You know what? I'll stop. Tell me what you get for playing with PlayStation, because I want to laugh at this.
Stable, cheat-free multiplayer servers.
Cheap is true.
Cheat-free. Cheat-free.
Nope. Hip Hop Gamer. Go on. Next question.
Hip Hop Gamer is cheating on online multiplayer games on console?
Yes,
No,
he
he's
is.
not.
No, he's not. He's doing a single
He's
player.
doing it on PC.
No, he did do it on PS4 too. He did do it on PS4 too.
That exploited cheats thing. But
Yakuza
exploit cheats and aimbot. Okay, PC has aimbotting, X-ray, and multiple other cheats that can be just plugged into the game because of the open nature of PC architecture, and their anti-cheat is fucking laughable. So you tell me where I can get on and play a game as secure and clean as I can on PlayStation Network, which is what I view I'm paying for, because I'm not. Warframe doesn't have any cheaters on it, huh?
Nope.
And that's because of Steam or because of Warframe?
I don't know, but it doesn't.
It's because of Warframe. Steam's anti-cheat fucking sucks balls.
Your question was where can I play without cheats? And I said Warframe. You didn't say like why not, but you said Warframe. Oh, sorry, I said Warframe.
And so if I went online and checked, there are no exploit aimbots or X-rays or anything like that for Warframe out there.
Not as far as I know, and I'm close to 3,000 hours. So either they're very good at finding them and destroying them first blast, or there's none, or there's very little, or something is being quelled really well, because 3,000 hours is still nothing.
I'll give you that, but I'm going to bring the train back onto the conversation of, okay, tell me why Steam's anti-cheat works, or tell me how it works, because I know for a fact that it doesn't. And if a developer decides, what's that?
I don't know. I don't work with Steam. I don't know how the system works.
Steam doesn't do anything, and that's my point. You can't claim that Steam has a better service. It sucks. It sucks balls. It sucks balls. And the developers that rely completely on that, their games are riddled with hacks and bugs. I will give you that Warframe is a good game, but the developers put in their own anti-cheat, and that's the reason that you're seeing very little cheating. It's not because of Steam, because if it were because of Steam, then no Steam games would be able to cheat like this. And I've played many online games where, Rust and DayZ and all these other games, they had to have their own pirate software. They had to have their own software to protect against hackers. And half the time it was inadequate. And until they got it up and running correctly, the shit was a nightmare because Steam doesn't do any of that shit. It doesn't bother to because they're not paid for. They don't provide you a good service. They provide you cheap games. Their voice chat is ridiculous, and up until a couple of years ago, didn't even fucking work at all. Wasn't even available. It was way behind the curve because you just use fucking Discord. So their service was next to nothing. They provided almost no anti-cheat, and their voice system fucking sucked. That's their service. In terms of their platform and the things they sell, like, yeah, they sell cheap games. They're really nice to their customers.
Well,
I love Steam. It's not a service.
At its core, Steam is not a service. It's a store. That's all it is.
Exactly. So I'm arguing that their service is lackluster. So if you're trying to compare the thing that you're paying for PlayStation and the thing that you're paying for PC, it may be even due to the architecture of the system, being that Sony's a closed architecture system. But what I can tell you is, when I pay this money and play online on these servers, there's no way to cheat. On PC, there absolutely is. And, oh, by the way, the biggest one has to be their voice, because it was fucking inexcusable for Steam to have such a broken voice service for so long and not to have one for the longest time, even before that. It was only the last couple of years that they even got a semi-viable voice chat, and it's still so shitty that nobody uses it. Everybody's on fucking Discord because Steam can't even... Steam has a free voice service built into their program, and people still go out of their way to use another service. Steam's P service is equivalent to Bing. It's like Yahoo. You just use it to fucking get a better service. And if you do that, if the service is so bad that you go out of your way to download another program, then it's not good service.
Brian, retort. Did Brian just go to sleep listening to all that? Damn, son.
He's powering up.
Oh, well. Brian, okay. Brett won then. They are.
No, I'm back into that. Hold on. Brett didn't win shit.
Whoa.
Just in time.
It might help if you actually play completed games, because I do notice that you play a lot of early access games, and these games are the state in the thing that, hey, this is a work in progress. Whether or not the anti-cheat system works or not, that's not for me to decide. That's up for them to decide.
So wait a minute. Whoa. Let me ask you this then. So if a game in early access doesn't have proper anti-cheats in place from the developers, you're saying it's not Steam's responsibility to make the entire platform anti-cheat, or that if Steam's anti-cheat worked, it shouldn't matter what state the game is in. It should be protected from hackers no matter what because of Steam's anti-cheating measures.
Only if they included it. If they didn't, then that's down to the developers.
I don't think you can opt out of that, and every early access game that I've played has definitely been opted into it.
Again, I have no idea, but I'm willing to bet that they did not, or they were doing something else, or they were trying something else.
No, I'm telling you they did, because I used to troll through the forums, and they're talking about Steam's back protection is not up to date, and they're having to build their own. From the developers, this is what I've heard multiple times. The viewpoint of developers is that they can't trust Steam's anti-cheat measures.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. But okay, at the end of the day, again, Steam is a store. It allows you to purchase stuff at great prices. You cannot deny that.
No. I love Steam and how they deal with customers. They're good for consumers. I'm just saying the service that you pay for. You get.
You don't pay for service.
No, the service that you pay for on PlayStation gives you access to a better end product than Steam tends to provide.
What do you pay for on PlayStation? What do you pay for on PlayStation?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but most of it has to do with.
No. You can't say that it is better and then not be sure on what you actually pay for, because
I can be sure of what I get.
Saying that, hey, this giant cloud is better than that giant cloud. Okay, what's in the giant cloud? I don't know, but it's better. Like, hence why I asked you to clarify what you pay for, because I want to know what you pay for.
I can't tell you exactly what I'm paying for. I can tell you exactly what I'm getting though, because here's the thing. The problem is that you could argue that the lack of cheats on PlayStation is due to the inherent nature of the closed system of the PlayStation versus the open nature of PC architecture. And I wouldn't necessarily be able to argue that. But what I do know is that when I pay for online service and online access to online games on my PlayStation, they run well, they don't drop out, and they are cheat free. And so when you're literally paying for access to multiplayer games, and then you get access to multiplayer games.
Okay, Brett?
Yes.
Brian, you can't just stop
pressing
midway.
suspend.
Yeah, man. Maybe he's having some problems over
He's
there.
probably having issues. Yeah.
I'm thinking so.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
There you
go.
are.
Okay, yes. Go play GTA 5 on PS3. Go play go play any Call of Duty on PS3. And
There's a difference
tell
between
me
a
how
hack
they're
and an
not
exploit.
free.
There's a difference between a hack and an exploit.
No, those games are like they have been hacked. They have aimbots. They have wall hacks. Like go and see. Like there's videos on YouTube. This is like one of the most
consoles?
prominent things. Yes. If you
How
want to
do
go
you
and check right
Well,
now, I would
definitely-
find, like,
definitely
one of the
GTA
reasons-
5. Yeah, Brian's right about GTA 5.
This is one of the reasons why Rockstar stopped people from transferring their stuff from PS3 to new gen, because the old versions were just hacked to death, and people
They were
kind of
exploited like a
triple
motherfucker.
safe.
How do you install
and-
an aim?
And they were hacked.
Okay, this is where I want you to
I
define a
don't
little
know
bit.
how they installed the hacks.
Okay,
but
then you don't know that they were hacked. The only way to run an
They were
aimbot is to have an
videos.
aimbot program running, Brian.
They were videos on the internet about it.
Yeah. So Brett, there were guys running proxies, so they were connecting their PS4 to these like proxy machines, and on their PCs were running the hack, and then that was connecting out to Rockstar servers. So that's how they were doing it.
Okay.
And these guys were exploiting that over and over. They kept figuring out because Rockstar kept killing those, and then they kept doing it again. So it's like, okay, connect this proxy. They connect you out to the Rockstar servers, and then in between there, that's when you turn on your aimbots or your invincibility. They were turning on all this shit. So yeah, Brian's right about that. But they were using a proxy to do it.
I'm
Yeah.
still a bit surprised that they were able to
Why are
intercept
you
and
surprised?
All right, actually, guys, I'm coming in here right now to kill this. No, because
wait,
Brian, I want to fuck.
Tony,
We got
Tony,
more
Tony, hold on.
questions, man.
I know you have questions, but I want to go to Brett some more. Like, why are you surprised that people were able to
Motherfuckers.
hack and
He's like,
exploit
this is my
stuff on
show
console?
now, nigga.
I want to know why people are so surprised that you can hack and install console games. Like, I don't understand that. Like, at the end of the day, these are just a piece of software. You can bypass anything. Nothing is 100%. Anyone that knows anything about computing knows that it's impossible to get 100% security on anything, because theoretically it's just not possible. So why is everyone so surprised when it happens? Is what like, it's closed? Like, it doesn't matter that it's closed. Like, people, again, to quote the almighty Jeff Goldblum, life will find a way.
I was
serious. Like, people will find a way.
okay. Are
like,
you gonna
get
ask
around
me a
these
question? Are you gonna let me answer it or not? God damn it!
You motherfucker. I want to move on, man. Shit.
Okay, Brett, answer the question. Why are you so surprised that you find cheats and hacks on consoles?
I am surprised by the specific instance that Chris brought out, because usually aimbotting is done by an external program running in the background, and that I'm surprised that they managed to use a proxy and still get the latency for button inputs to get a viable aimbot. That seems like a very weird long workaround, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, because literally what an aimbot does is it recognizes the enemies and it adjusts your controller or your mouse and keyboard input to actually zero in on those things. So it requires a lot more back and forth communication than I would think, and so it just seems a little bit impressive to me that somebody managed to do that with a proxy server in the latency required to actually have the desired effect. That's why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that somebody went out of their way and did this shit. And I'm not even going to say that it's nothing. Every argument has a counter argument. That's why there's the colloquialism, the exception to the rule. But you can't tell me that it's easier or just as easy to cheat on a console as it is on a fucking PC. I know people that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, much less how to run a computer, that can just go onto a website and download hacks fucking for almost any game and download them weekly. I mean, look at Hip Hop. He's subscribed to a website that gives him these cheats. So, and I guarantee you most of them, 90% of them, are for PC. I'm not saying that it can't happen on console. I'm a bit surprised that somebody went and found that kind of a workaround specifically for an aimbot. Like, cheating for money, auto things, like, sure, like you could bot yourself and just make yourself go on resource runs and everything like that by handing off full control over to a computer and essentially having a computer play the game for you. I'm just surprised that specifically an aimbot worked, because the way that I know these programs usually go about working. And it seems like adding an extra middleman in there on the server end would be, I don't know how they're controlling the character's movements on the server end unless they're just sending a message back to the server through the proxy that says, yeah, I definitely hit that guy.
Yeah, all right, I'm moving on. I'm killing this shit right now. We got way off track. Brian, nope, not happening. We're moving on. All right, next question.
People on cheats.
Yeah. do you believe the announcement of Scarlet, this is the new Xbox system, will hurt the sales of the Xbox One? Listen, Xbox One sales are already bad. It doesn't really matter anymore. It doesn't fucking matter.
Is that what they're called? Is that what the code?
Yeah, that's a code name. Yeah.
Code name of the fourth Xbox system is Scarlet.
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt sales. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it's too far out. Like, I mean, this is rumored like 2020, and all we have is this code name and no other details. We don't know anything about it. So I don't believe so. And Tony already said it. Like, we've talked about this at length. Like, Xbox One hardware is not selling well, right? So the push is now, you notice they just did that throwaway line at E3, like, oh yeah, we're working on the next system, and then they moved on. That's because they finally figured it out. The software pushes the hardware, right? So Scarlet, they could talk about that forever. You're not going to wait 2 years, like, oh, just wait for Scarlet. No, if whatever Microsoft showed, it excited a lot of people. They will, if they've been holding on Xbox, they'll just buy it. So that it could only help. I don't think Scarlet right now it's a rumor, so I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And when they finally decide, probably next E3, or if Microsoft decides to do their own announcements and say, hey, this is our plans for the next Xbox, they will do it in a way they understand their business. They're not going to step on their own toes. They'll do it in a way that they know, okay, we're in the end of life period. Let's throw this announcement out. Let's get everybody excited. Push all the marketing towards Xbox 4, and that's it. So this is not going to hurt anything.
I was just going to say, are they going to market?
Yeah, right, Chris. Yeah. Because
I just want to quickly ask: are they going to market the Xbox One as the system you purchase if you don't want to be always online?
Oh man, they start that shit again.
Anyway, Brett, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Chris, remember when we were looking at Sony's financial reports and we had talked about the possibility of them expecting to move less hardware sales after the announcement of their next PlayStation. Yeah. So while this isn't affecting Microsoft yet, do you think it will affect Microsoft's hardware sales when they actually announce?
Oh, absolutely. But you calculate that in a window of time when you think that your end of life is within a state you can take that hit, whether it's 8 months, 12 months, 16 months, whatever, from that announcements period. So yeah, you are definitely taking a dip with that announcement, but they calculate that, and this is why all this Scarlet stuff is just so far rumor, and here's why: we don't have any details on Xbox 4. I'll just call it that. On Xbox Scarlet, we don't know anything. So to say that somebody's now going to make a purchase decision based on a rumor is ridiculous. But whenever Microsoft does announce that, if anybody was on the fence, yes, that may affect their decision to go, okay, I waited this long, right? And I'm only less than 12 months away from a new Xbox. I'm gonna wait. So yeah, sure, but they'll calculate that dip. Like they've done it before. You do it each generation. You take a chance. Now earlier, if you go back, you could slip up like Sega and just do 6-month launches and completely screw yourself over. Going from 32X to Saturn. But that those days are over. Now everything is very calculated.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Scarlet sales, Xbox, Don Matrick.
Will Scarlet O'Hara.
Yeah, it's not affecting anything right now.
No. Yeah, my thing is like, listen, Xbox One sales are already so low, it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, obviously, they're looking for the reset button. It's coming.
Yes, it's coming. The Scarlet is it. Scarlet from G.I. Joe. That's what I want to know. All right. Moving on here. Master Shake. He goes, did you feel like E3 only teased every big anticipated game? Doom Eternal, Elder Scrolls 6, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy Remake, Death Stranding, Metroid 5. Yeah, they're going to show the big games, dude. That's what E3 is about. They're not going to focus the whole show on some bullshit nobody cares about.
I think he does bring up a good point, though. Like there are point. I mean, with the exception of Control and a couple of other things, there weren't those surprise games that you saw. this year.
Is that how you took the question? That's the other thing. Is I kind of don't understand how to interpret the question. Because the way I took it is like, hey, why is the E3 not showing any indie games? That's how I took it.
No, I see it as like we already, to be honest, like you knew every single fucking game that was going to show up on the Sony stage.
And everybody, yeah. What about Microsoft? Because he's talking about all of E3, not just
I think
Sony.
also with a lot of Microsoft, you did kind of know a lot of the things that were coming. So it's like there were those little small snippets of things. That's why they were saying. That's why a lot of people said that. We're saying that the Microsoft is good of a show that Microsoft thing was. They weren't saying anything you didn't know about. Really.
Yeah. And by the way, whoever paid attention to that leaked memo, man, that shit was off. That shit was off this year.
It wasn't a real leaked memo because there was all those things all over the place. Those dumb fucking things where they literally just put everything in center orientation and then put the dumb E3 logo that they downloaded off the fucking website on the bottom. Yeah, that's exactly how fucking internal sheets look like. Come on, guys.
The guys in the chat seem to disagree that they're saying Master Shake says that they didn't show any of the big stuff. Thought they did. He goes, E3 was not showing the big stuff. It was all teasing it but not showing, which is what usually you okay, so he's saying that they teased the stuff. They didn't actually show it.
What things were they teasing? You're talking about Death Stranding. That Death Stranding is going to be a constant.
Yeah, Doom Eternal. Yeah, that's right. That's kind of a tease. Elder Scrolls 6 was a mega tease. It's just a fucking logo. Cyberpunk, they didn't even show you guys that shit.
They didn't show you that
Final
one.
Fantasy 7, we didn't get nothing. Yeah, okay, I see. Thank you. I'm glad he's here.
Journalist interpretation of Cyberpunk.
You mean journalists doing their job? Like, did you not read magazines back in the day, Carlos? Come on, man.
No, he didn't.
What are magazines?
Yeah, what are those, man? Paper?
What are magazines?
Damn.
It's funny. Okay, so I'm glad he's here to interpret his question. So I guess he's asking us, why did they only tease these big games instead of showing them? Maybe because they ain't ready yet, bro.
Yeah, maybe they're not ready. And to be honest, Elder Scrolls, that shit ain't coming until the next generation. They don't want to talk about that thing. They don't want to fucking what is it, Watchdog situation where essentially they put out this thing that looks amazingly awesome, and then the game doesn't even look anywhere close to what the final game doesn't look any close to what that original thing that they showed.
Hence why they're not trying to show nobody no Cyberpunk right now. They're trying to protect themselves.
How much do you want to bet that Cyberpunk is not totally a current gen game?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
I say it's a cross-generation game.
Could be.
Yeah, but I think the main thing is that they're making that for the next gen, or for high end PCs. There's no way that from the trailer, even the trailer they showed, which was supposedly in-game stuff. From that trailer, you can tell that there is a lot of stuff going on there that current gen will probably fucking chug on.
For the reference, what the hell are the names again?
CD Projekt Red
guys. No. The guys that do the analysis of all the games.
Digital Foundry.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah. They went through and they did like a whole analysis and whatnot. And they did find evidence that it was captured with in-game engine stuff. As there was aliasing going on and motion blur and all that nonsense, which is indicative of the game engine doing stuff rather than pre-rendered.
Yeah, by the way,
also CD Projekt Red came out and they announced what specs the PC was that was running that footage, and something like stupidly dumb, like Intel i7 something. Like,
yo, man, it's running on Skynet.
Yeah, so basically, CD Projekt Red just came out and said, you need the stuff that comes out tomorrow to get this type of stuff.
And Nate says CD Projekt Red already said it's a cross-gen game. Okay, so there you go.
Look at that. I didn't even know, and I was right.
Yeah. You're a sage, man.
He's getting an awful lot of talk lately about next gen.
Yeah, well, it's happening. This is the perfect time to talk about it.
It's happening. Come on, guys. That's why they're teasing. That's why they're teasing all this stuff, because a lot of this stuff is not even coming out.
This year's E3 felt a lot like 2011. Remember when they started talking about last gen? Next gen.
There's a lot of rumors that plenty of devs already have PS5 dev kits. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, they already talked about how they said Mark Cerny was already talking to people about what they should do for the next one. So that's coming. It's coming.
And Manny, you have inside word on what Mark Cerny said to these people, right?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes, because I know Mark Cerny personally. What?
Damn it, Manny. Be Mark
'Cause you did the
Cerny.
imitation.
Yeah.
You Mark Cerny? I don't know.
This motherfucker. All right. Let's move on here, man. Where the fuck are we right now? Okay, illustrated Dio. What's going on, brother? All right.
What's up, Dio?
So he goes, are the Cap gods back? Have Capcom finally figured out that their fan base consumers expect from their development team? Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people said because of Mega Man and because of Resident Evil and because of Devil May Cry 5 that Capcom is finally back. My thing is, wait until these games drop and wait for at least 2 more announcements. Then you could say they're back. You know, usually,
man, don't fall for that rope-a-dope.
That's what I'm saying. Be careful. Like, usually my rule is you give me 3, then I'm going to say you're good. No, for Capcom, no. I'm giving you need 5 games.
Wait for that, and then a good Street Fighter release. Then you can say that.
Oh, you know? You're gonna be waiting a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Damn, that's crazy. So yeah, don't say Capcom is back yet. They're on the right road. Let's keep it like they're on the right road. They're giving us Mega Man. They're giving us Resident Evil. They're giving us Devil May Cry 5. We're getting there, but we need a little more. Little more.
Am I the only one that was not excited by this Devil May Cry?
Me too, Brett. I'll never. I don't care. I don't care about Devil May Cry, but people like it, so I have to acknowledge that. But I don't care about.
Not that I don't care about Devil May Cry. This Devil May Cry looks fucking cheesy and kind of badly made.
Really?
Yeah,
I
got the opposite impression.
Did you really?
Yeah, to me, it looked like they were going back to what made the first couple ones good. Like that whole hey, no nonsense characters. Like boom, there we go, in your face, deal with it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I got. But yeah,
I'm just salty it's not made by Ninja Theory, so my opinion doesn't count. You know.
To answer the question,
I'm just mad it's not made by the original guys who made Devil May Cry. Oh, Platinum Games.
Yes, I'd say wait until we get a good fighting game from Capcom. Then you can say that they are back.
Yes, I agree. Hold on, whoa. Can we give that stipulation? Not Street Fighter, any fighting game, right, Brian?
Yes, that was the exact question, and I am alluding to Marvel vs. Capcom. Is it 3 or 4? Right?
4, yeah.
Well, we had Infinite, which was.
I guarantee you, especially now that this Fox shit is going down, the Fox deal. I guarantee
you could put the X-Men back.
X-Men, yeah, it's gonna be Marvel vs. Capcom. I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. I guarantee you, the next game will be called Marvel vs. Capcom 4, and it's gonna be touted as a return to glory. I'm telling you right now, X-Men and all that shit. You know,
it's gonna copy the Super Smash Bros. And have every character ever.
Okay. Yeah, right. All of them, son.
Even every character you've ever wanted to play.
Even Solid Snake somehow.
And here's each one of them skill sets.
Oh shit! Get ready, man. So yeah, Capcom again. Have hope for what's coming, but don't say they're back. I know a lot of people. Yo, they're back, son. They're back. Wait. Just wait.
No, man. They're on the right trail right now, man. But they might just fall off.
Yeah, exactly.
That Devil May Cry game may be a piece of trash.
Oh. You know, all right.
They're on the right track because Resident Evil 2 does look good, and they did do well with Resident Evil 7. You know, and Mega Man, I didn't see that coming, but that's a giant middle finger to Mighty Number 9. That probably made it just to do that.
Dude, Mega Man 11 is what Mighty Number 9 should have been, man.
Oh yeah, no joke, no question.
It's crazy.
They probably just looked at it. They probably just looked at what he did and then like, oh, people are actually interested in this. All right, get on that.
It's fucking crazy, man. Mighty Nerd says Capcom will not be back until they remake all their classic 2D games that made them famous. He's on a Final Fight, Street Fighter Alpha, Aliens vs. Predator. Interesting. I
don't see that one as a classic.
Yeah, come on, son. But he wants them back like HD, like Dragon's Crown. I want Final Fight back though, man. That'd be awesome. You know, but don't make it. Yeah, don't make it 3D though. It gotta be 2D. You know, don't fuck it up. And Street Fighter Alpha, you could actually play it right now on the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection.
Street Fighter
Alpha. All right. Oh shit, Master Shake, throwing a question in there, brother.
Yo, man, you throwing it?
Yeah. All right, let's answer this first one, and then we'll get to yours. Hussein asks, will Nintendo lock Fortnite behind the paywall when it launches? I don't think so.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt. I might be stupid, but whatever.
I want your money.
I want you to money. Yeah, Mario.
It's only $20.
Fortnite isn't P2P, is it?
What happened now?
Wait, peer-to-peer?
Yeah.
What?
Fortnite is not peer-to-peer, is it?
No, no.
I want any one of the
No, it can't
Fortnite
be.
players in this room to answer this.
I don't
Right.
think it is.
Brett, it can't be, or else that would make no sense because
That's what I'm saying. So the game does have to have servers, and so this is actually really one of those games that I would understand if it were behind a paywall, a little bit, because it's costing money to keep the servers up.
it's free to play. That makes money back in microtransactions.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
They don't make their money back. They have a fucking surplus, a fucking war chest on that game.
Okay, they make the gold back, or they swim in gold through microtransactions.
Yeah. they
I'm
get
about to say something really bad there, but I'll stay quiet.
Oh shit!
what? Steam is better than. Oh, never mind.
No. It involves. Okay, I'll stop. It involves people with certain type of hats. Let's say that much.
Oh shit.
No, caps. Sorry, it's not hat. There's that. Oh yeah, I found out that there's a difference between a hat and a cap.
There is a difference between a hat and a cap.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, all caps are hats, but not all hats are caps.
no, it's something to do with like caps have rims, hats don't have rims, or something like that. Anyway, it involves people with a certain type of cap. Let's put it that much.
Talking about Tony Sony cap.
Oh.
I think I know what Brian's talking about, but I don't want to say it on air.
All right, we'll just leave that one
Post-
alone.
post-
Brian, my only thing is, are these hats hard?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yup. I'm not saying that shit on air. You know. Oh God. All right. Then the last question here from Mr. Master Shake. I think I only got 2 from you. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Why people complain that games get announced too early and can't maintain the gamers' hype? Why is maintaining hype something that needs to be taken into account? Very interesting question. Very interesting.
Because they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars generating hype for no reason.
But it's not for no reason. They want to make money.
Yeah, well, that's what. No, I think this comes from like, okay, so game company X, you're releasing giant game Y, and you want to make us all hyped for it and put a bunch of money in and do a bunch of advertising campaign 3 years before the game starts, only to have all that hype die away and have to kind of build it back up. Like, what the fuck is the point of that?
Crackdown.
Like,
Sorry.
yeah, exactly. You're essentially wasting advertising budget. It's just generally confusing.
It's here's the thing, like it serves 2 purposes. One, you would do it really early to kind of get people excited. Why, like, you could understand why they did it. Microsoft did Crackdown when they did it because it was so close to the launch of Xbox One. So they wanted to get everybody excited. Oh yeah, there's all these really great games coming along. We even got Crackdown. Like that's it right there. That's what it all is right there. So but when we come down further down the line, I feel like the Horizon Zero Dawn one works really well, where they just show you some gameplay and then it was out eventually. Right? It was like 3 years.
It
right?
wasn't even 3 years. It was like 2. It was really
like 2
fast.
years. So it was like all of it was like, wait, like the first, they don't even bother showing you a fucking trailer. They just said gameplay, and then then eventually the game came out. So I think that there's also very much a lot to that, and I think that even with Bethesda, when Bethesda did that first year where they just said, was it Fallout coming out next year or coming out
6 months?
Coming out in 6 months, bam,
Yeah, but going back to Crackdown, I think they wanted to have the game out years ago. It's just shit happens, you know.
I definitely think there was a lot of stuff that stood in the way of getting Crackdown to the point that they wanted it to be. Unforeseen things.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure most developers would get the game out to you as quickly as possible if they had the ability to. You know what I mean? I don't think any one of them likes dragging the shit out for years and years.
I mean, the one thing though with that Crackdown announcement, when we saw Larry. Major Nelson, and he's like, yeah, that game's not. It's not even started.
Yeah, he even told us that. You know.
Yeah.
One of the things I will say about releasing or teasing games early is the benefit of it has to do with okay, so you release a teaser trailer for this game you're just starting to work on, or a little bit, you let people know you're working on it, gets them excited, the hype kind of dies down. That leads you into a little bit better lead in when you do announce it, because then everyone's like, oh shit, I've been waiting years for this game, and that makes the hype better. The part where I don't get it is when you continue to fucking breadcrumb people along, where you see trailer every year and another trailer the next year and another trailer the next year, another trailer the next year. You're like, okay, I'm bored of this game and it's not even fucking come out yet. So like, I absolutely get we're working on this game, everybody get excited. Remember this so that when we announce this game, because the problem with Horizon was like, I actually think that they should have maybe done a little bit, because there were people excited about Horizon.
Just a minute, bro. You just hate that game.
You just don't like the game, bro. It's
Yeah.
just your people are hyped as a motherfucker.
I remember when I did get excited for it, the game felt like it kind of came out of nowhere a little bit, because it did have advertising, but it didn't have that much of a presence. So you're like, oh yeah, I remember this game. Is this okay? So it's coming out. I was really stoked at the beginning. If you remember, I was really excited for this game.
Yeah, that is true. By the way, I like what Capcom did with Resident Evil 4. They announced that shit 4 years ago. Like, yo, we got this shit coming. They didn't say nothing for like 3 or 4 years. Then they dropped the fucking, the trailer and the gameplay demo and stuff. Like, damn, I like that shit.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That is exactly what you should be doing. Let us know you're working on it. Let us know when it's coming soon. Leave the middle bit undisturbed. You don't need to fucking tell us about this thing. Remind us that you're working on it every year.
By the way,
yeah, but I mean, it was announced in 2015 and came out 2017. I mean, there's way more like egregious examples of this. Like,
yo, where's that? Where's that Final Fantasy VII remake though?
Final Fantasy VII, Shenmue, like.
Yeah. By the way, quick little inside story. When I went to my Capcom appointment, this was actually me. I'm like, hold on, you're telling me I could actually play Resident Evil? I didn't believe it. I thought it was gonna be a fucking trailer. It's like, no, yeah, we haven't played. I'm like, so you have the real game behind there? It's like, yeah, we do. It's like I couldn't believe it. You know, I like that. It was a nice surprise. More game. And when does that shit drop? In January, man?
January.
I'm fucking done.
Hey, they didn't. Here's the thing. The game was already fucking made. They just needed to remake it. It's not like they needed to do something new. Like, oh yeah, we got this whole new story we're gonna be doing.
Well, tell that to Final Fantasy VII guys.
Final Fantasy, with them, it's because fucking Square just decided to hand that shit off to somebody. It's like, hey, you could do this, right?
And then they decided, oh, we're going to do it ourselves.
Well, no, the thing is that, that they're not, I guess they are kind of changing Resident Evil around.
They did. It plays like Resident Evil 4 now.
It's a Resident Evil 4
and it runs on the Resident Evil 7 engine. So it is a complete remake, you know?
It is a complete remake.
My thing is, how come Capcom was able to do it, fucking Square wasn't able to do it with Final Fantasy? Very interesting to me. You know, I understand that Final Fantasy is a way, way bigger game, but Resident Evil 2 is essentially the same fucking thing, completely remade, you know? I'm blurry. There we go. Anyway, thoughts, hype. Shit, Brian, get in here.
Hype?
I think it's like one of those like odd things because there's like many different roads that this can go down. Like my first thought was, okay, they do it just so that they get people that are excited and have like maintain that excitement because there's just way too many games coming out. Like again, take Fallout 76 as the example, right? Okay, they announced it, they're going to release it in 6 months. Now, look at every game coming out in the next 6 months. Like, there's a lot of titles. There's your usual Call of Duties. There's Spider-Man. There's Rockstar's game, Red Dead 2. Again, there's tons of games coming out in that space, like between now and then, and that's just within the next 6 months. Now, if you extend that to like 2-3 years, then the chances are like someone that was excited for your game when you first announced it may not be as excited or as waiting for it when it actually comes out. So hence I have to keep that up for as long as possible. But then I also feel like you can run into a situation where you end up in like the Last Guardian type thing, where it's like, hey, you announce the game, you say, hey, it's coming out, and then nothing. You know, like it doesn't show up at press conferences, it doesn't show up here, it doesn't show up there. It's just kind of like left to the point where are they making it? Are they not making it? Is it cancelled? Is it not? And then the room mill just swells and things get really dumb and just like, oh, no E3 with Last Guardian. Okay, maybe next year, maybe next year, maybe next year. And then that whole process of just keep waiting is just not fair. But then the other side of the coin is you release a trailer for it every single year, and then people like Brett get really annoyed by that like Watch Dogs, like OG Watch Dogs, they released or they showed so much footage for that game. Like there's even a point where Tony and I were like, I think we've all seen what the whole game is just purely based on the trailers because there's just been so many of them. So you end up with a point where people are just oversaturated and just annoyed with the sheer amount of stuff just coming out for it because it's shown every year. There's more footage, sometimes the same footage, and I feel like it's a really tough balance to hit. And I honestly think that this is where Bethesda does things right, which is you come on stage, say, "Hey, like we had the idea of making game X. Okay, now here is game X in footage form. Okay, trailer. Now we talk more about game X. Okay, here's now some gameplay of game X, and finish off with game X coming out in 6 months. I feel like that is the best solution that you can have. And also, I'm still waiting for Agent.
So
Hey, gotta throw that in there,
man,
brother.
deep down, where's that shit?
Yeah, right. Shit.
So you're pretty much saying, Brian, the anti-Star Citizen formula.
Oh, that shit doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Fuck you, Star Citizen.
Star Citizen exists, and it's like the world's longest, largest, most expensive early access game in existence.
The game has the budget of Avengers: Infinity War, man. This shit is crazy right now.
Both of them.
Did you see that new thing that they had for it, where you can get everything unlocked? Isn't that one? Isn't it Star Citizen that has it? It's like a $27,000 payment, and you get everything.
Jesus.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
That's about right.
it's a $27,000 payment. And you have everything in the game. Like, in other words, everything is open to you in the game.
They take out another mortgage and shit.
Not to mention,
Sorry, honey, I couldn't buy your new car. Got to buy Star Citizen.
And not to mention, on top of that, you had to already have been in the $1,000 program to even access that $27,000 thing.
Yo.
This was in May 30th that they announced this thing.
$1,000 for a game. I better be able to have sex with it, man. What the fuck?
Dude, Star Citizen is terrible about that. Like they're treating the early access like, A, it's definitely going to become a game, which probably fucking isn't at this point. But B, they're charging hundreds or thousands of dollars per ship. Let me repeat that. Hundreds or thousands of dollars per ship. Like the very smallest buy-in is almost like $100. It's like 80 fucking bucks or some shit like that. Or I think they may have the very base scrub model for like a full $60. So they're very much in the belief that, oh, you're paying for the privilege of early access, and they still don't have any fucking thing to show for it. This game is quickly becoming like this game should be fucking illegal. It's just predatory behavior.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck?
It's a loot box without the loot.
It's a loot box without the game. The shit don't exist yet, man.
I'm surprised we didn't even look at this, but on May 30th, they made the announcement for the $27,000 bundle.
Wow. Yo, this is
the only way that you can that you're even eligible of it or available to is if you already contributed $1,000 or more to the Star Citizen funding.
Yo,
Jesus
this is like fucking Virgin buying a flight to space, man. What the fuck?
Man. Holy shit.
By the way, it's not too. By the way, Manny didn't say 2,700. He said 27,000. There's three zeros in this bitch.
There's 3 zeros on that thing. So yeah, Star
God
Citizen.
damn.
If anybody doesn't think that, if anybody at this point in time doesn't think that fucking shit is a scam, you are an idiot.
Yo,
Come on,
I don't think I've spent $20,007 on my in like if you count every game I've ever bought in my entire life, I don't think it amounts to 27,000.
I don't even make that in a year.
Neither do I.
Dude, that's like the option. Do I want to buy this game package, or would I like to start a small business?
Jesus.
Okay, I have a quick question. I do remember that there was like a while back about the Mass Effect 3 guy that spent, was it like 5,000?
Yeah, 15,000. 15,000. 3 zeros. 3 zeros.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to catch a whale, right?
They're trying to catch Moby Dick.
Yeah, damn it, Tony.
Trying to catch a couple of whales, one of those one of those incredibly rich Saudi Arabian
gold
guys,
whale.
or
No, they're trying to catch fucking Moby Dick in this bitch, man. They're trying to catch Megalodon. What the fuck?
But then the question is, who is worse? The people that say, "Hey, give us this money," or the people that give them the money?
Hey, listen, Brian, you know what my answer is? Like, if people are willing to pay this, more power to them. I got no problem with that.
All I'll
fuck.
say is, hey, just sponsor the Throwdown.
That's
like
it.
I'm pretty sure that if you have like 27,000 to spare, just like 1%.
Jesus, we need
I'm
a
pretty
whale.
sure
We need a
between
whale
all-
for this fucking show, man.
I'm pretty sure between all of us, if you give us $27,000, we can build a Flash game that'll work within like.
Yo, you
a
give me
couple of days.
27,000, you won't see me for a year, man. I'll be good. That's more money than I make in a year. Fuck.
Yo, man, be sure to invest that shit so you have it later.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we got one more question, but I'm gonna sneak this one here. This is not an official one though. I'm just gonna sneak it in real quick. Mighty Nerd says, remember when consoles couldn't handle their 2D games due to RAM limitations? How come they stopped making 2D games when RAM became an issue? This is a conversation Manny and I have a lot of times. What happened is, yeah, you can have those dope ass 2D games, but nobody gives a fuck about those anymore.
Nobody cares about them anymore. To be honest, I really wanted that latest Street Fighter to be back to basics, old school Street Fighter, man. 2D animated stuff, all that shit. But no,
That's what Cuphead is.
Yeah,
Cuphead is an anomaly.
But it took an independent studio to say, "Oh, hey, yeah, we can do that, can't we?
Yeah,
Since we have no RAM, don't have the RAM limitations that we had from a while ago."
If you guys remember when Cuphead came out, I'm like, this is the type of game we wanted 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like even games like Sonic Mania, where they're like, okay,
thing.
we're gonna do Sonic Mania, but we're gonna do it like if it was on a friggin' Sega Dreamcast, where there's extra animations, there's all this extra additional color, all this other high quality music, animated sequences, that sort of thing. But all of that stuff got lost in the 3D age.
I think it comes across as inherently cheap, just because you can push the system more. You can put in more polygons, more.
Yeah, Brett's
but
right.
the hilarious thing is, it's not cheap.
Oh no,
it takes thousands of man hours to draw those fucking animations.
Manny, you know that. Yeah, you know that. Brett knows that. I know that. We all know that. But the thing is, to the public, Brett, this goes back to you were saying. The public doesn't realize that. They don't care about that. To them, that is cheap. Call of Duty is the hot shit because it looks real.
I mean,
not even just real.
Do you need in betweeners for fucking CG animation? For the way CG animation works, it's all tweens.
Man,
it's just like
calm down, Manny. Calm down, man.
No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying this.
Douse this motherfucker with water, man.
Yeah, just like you need in betweeners to do that stuff. No, you just move an arm. You just move an arm, and no, it's for any animated sort of game. You still need to do all that sort of stuff. There's no, unless you're using a sort of flash base where some of those games actually do use that, where it's like a little bit, essentially it's like it's a system kind of figuring out the in betweens. For the most part, you got to do all that. You got to still draw that shit. You still got to draw hand by hand.
Oh, you do. I think the reason Cuphead, and this is the reason, it's a theory. Feel free to disprove me on this. I think people view these games as cheap and with minimal effort because they a lot of times require less effort and money than a big AAA game. And I think the proof in that is if you could sit down and convince somebody that a 2D game is pushing the very limits of the system hardware, then you might get people's attention more. Cuphead got a lot of people's attention because, yes, it's a 2D game, but it really is doing a lot. It's utilizing a lot of the power of the system. It was very hard to make. It took a lot of man hours. They really made sure everybody know that this is a well-crafted game and not just some thing that they shat out to make a little bit of extra money, which is the weird stink associated with 2D games now. They stink of low effort and low budget. And by counteracting both of those ideas in the zeitgeist, Cuphead managed to be very popular. So I think if I came out tomorrow and said I've got a 2D shooting platformer game that pushes the very limits of the PS4 itself, I think it would fucking sell like hotcakes. Because people are like, oh, it's doing a bunch of new stuff, and I haven't seen a 2D game. It would instantly legitimize it, and people would want to play it. But all the other 2D games, other than Cuphead, generally come across as like either made by a small studio or not a lot of money, like Salt and Sanctuary, like great game. Does it strike you as a high budget game? Like, no, not really.
But the thing is that, to be honest, why does budget even matter? As long as the game is good, that should be it. I mean, because to be honest, what was considered AAA games back in the day was exactly that sort of thing. Was the Salts and Sanctuaries? Was the Sonic game? Was the Cuphead? That was the game that those companies produced.
Yeah, but are you really going to tell me that the market looks on indie games the same way that they look at AAA games?
No, they don't. They don't look at them the same at all.
So,
but the thing is that like when you look at a game like Hellblade, which is an independent game, but it has the appearance of what would be considered a AAA game, which it didn't really cost as much to make.
Exactly. So most of the time, side scroller or 2D games just fall into the trap of they tend to strike people as indie games, and so therefore not as viable. Is what I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. By the way, and Nate says he's not a fan of those games that look like that. There's also that too. People just they like realism. That's why those games are like the biggest selling
which
ones.
Which is also a failure of the game industry too. It's like, why does every game have to look realistic?
But Mighty Nerd, we love Dragontron. That game did not get everybody's attention, bro.
No, it didn't.
That game,
they know. Here's the thing. Those guys know what audience they are going for, and they know what their returns are going to be.
Our eyes would have bled if that game came out 20 years ago, right?
Like,
that's the shit we wanted, but
that's out of
vogue now.
And that's the thing is that that's the reason why I bought that game. It's like, oh my god, it's like a more visually complicated version of the shit that we used to play. That's so cool. But it's like, because these 2D games have kind of been lost in the flood of 3D games, now there's nobody that has any connection to those sorts of games.
That's right.
Most of you out there probably never played a Nintendo game or a Sega Genesis game when they first came out.
Yeah, no, you're right. That connection's definitely lost there. By the way, I made this an official question because this was a good response. Chris, anything to add as an artiste yourself?
I think Manny summed it up. I agree with most of what he said.
Yeah, it's sad, man. Like, I'm not gonna derail this shit. I was just gonna say, like, if it was up to me, like, we would have had an evolution of 2D games that wouldn't have stopped. I still would have been playing those fucking things,
Yeah.
And I still do play them when they drop, of that quality shit, because that's the shit I wanted, Fuck these 3D games. Go back to 2D, man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, to be honest, it's like, what in this market, everybody's all like, oh, well, games should look like this and games should have this. In this market, isn't there enough room for every single type of game? There can be games out there that look realistic. There could also be games that look very cartoony. There could also be games that are hand animated. That's the thing that people need to get their head around. They don't all need to look like the same fucking game with the same shiny textures as every other game.
Man,
you guys seem to be forgetting entire types of, like, tell this to point-and-click adventure games. Tell this to RTS games.
Exactly.
Like, there are entire genres that have died. This isn't just art style. It's just, the industry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The industry tends to look at things that are profitable and then just put on blinders to anything else. So, unfortunately, you have games that, like, there's a type of game that got a few bad games released in that genre, and so the whole industry then turns away from it. There's nothing wrong with that formula. It just had a bit of a run of bad luck. This is exactly what happened to the RTS. Like, there were many good RTS games out there, and then a bunch of bad ones hit the market. It kind of got the market kind of got RTS fatigue, and so the response was the market just stopped fucking producing them.
Yeah.
And now we're in this weird cyclical loop where you can't really produce one because you don't have anybody that wants to bet on one. So anyone that gets produced isn't well balanced, which is a huge necessity for this type of game. So you flip-flop between mediocre product and saying the market doesn't want this, where I'm sure there's still room for that in the market.
It's kind of a weird natural selection sort of thing. The games and genres and styles that, bubble to the surface are the ones that constantly continue to get pushed. You know what I mean? Like, once you're, once the bad game comes along, or once this, things have kind of moved away, people just forget about these things. Rather than, and because especially nowadays with the investment that has to go into actually making a game, as to where maybe 10 guys or even 4 guys could make an RTS in the past. Now, in order to keep in to keep up with current trends of games, there's a certain sort of quality that is kind of expected. So now on RTS, the StarCraft now is all 3D and everything, looks like you can't make a StarCraft game back in the style that it was originally in anymore.
Yeah. All right, man. And the very last question here for Mirage Leonardo 84. This is a fun one. Who is your favorite female villain in a video game?
Mirage Leonardo. I see what you did there. Favorite villain, a female villain in a video game?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a tough one.
The first one that came to my head is the chick from Battletoads. Remember her?
Oh God. Jeez.
Are there female villains?
There are. The other one that came to mind was the chick from Uncharted 3. That's
I thought you were going to say that. I was going to say. You could also say the villain from the original Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's another one.
I can't remember her name. I just want to call her Tohoken, but that's not
her.
Who it was.
Like Nadia or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, that's a good one. There aren't that many. I'm pretty sure if fighting games probably have a few of them. We
need to start a campaign to see more women in villainous roles in video games.
Yes, there you go. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
literally, the first one that popped in my head was the fucking chick from Battletoads, man.
I'm gonna have to hold on for a second. I'm totally drawing a blank on this. I'm gonna search female villain.
I got one.
Female game villains. All right, go ahead.
I got an old one.
Oh,
Mother Brain.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If this was a loaded question, expertly hidden, my friend.
I really like this one. Solitary Zombie says the Sly Cooper series has a lot of fun female villains. That is true. That is very true. Infamous Second Son. That's right. They had a really good one in there. That Jamaican chick. She had the ice powers, I believe. Right.
She wasn't a full villain though. She was just kind of an antagonist, though, wasn't she? Or am I splitting hairs?
Like the? Oh, you mean the villain? Like the main
that's
villain?
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
See, I'm thinking just bad chick in general.
Because I could have also said Sniper Wolf, but she's not the villain of Metal Gear.
Yeah, no, she counts, man. She counts.
Okay, well, are we doing main, or just villains in general?
No, let's go for villains. Let's broaden out a little bit.
The villain from Final Fantasy VIII. You could say her.
There you go. Shinaki says Sarah Kerrigan from StarCraft 1.
Well, yeah. I guess she becomes bad. She becomes the Queen of Blades.
Hold on, I'm drawing a blank here. Kristen says The Last of Us kind of had a female villain. Who was that?
The Firefly chick.
Yeah.
The one
that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Meko, thanks for following us on the Twitch.
You could say Shodan from System Shock.
Yeah.
The Soulsborne games have a lot of them. Actually.
Eve from Parasite Eve.
Resident Evil.
Yes.
Resident Evil has a few.
Yes.
And she was the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Code Veronica. I call. Isn't that the chick from Resident Evil?
Yeah, Alex Ashford or something. Whatever the Ashford. She was the main bad guy.
Does Genova count?
It's funny because Genova is essentially disguised as Sephiroth throughout the whole game.
People are saying Ultimisia.
You could say Ultimisia. You could also say Sophia Lamb from Bioshock 2.
Hey, what about a Poison for Final Fight?
Well, I don't know.
Hey,
that's a hard one. Pun intended. You could say Poison and Roxy.
Yeah, Alexa Ashford. All right. Kristen, what, the chick with the boobs from Resident Evil 5? Oh, yeah, that's right. The girl with the dress. Yeah.
The Greek chick. Yeah.
What's her name?
Wesker.
Oh shit! What was her name? She was like a Kardashian. What was her name?
Kardashian.
Yeah, she was like a Kardashian. She's like, I will use the Ouroboros.
I don't even remember her name. I just know she gave
wasn't her name
his injections.
Wasn't her name Alexa?
Yeah, Alexa. That's right. Yeah, Alexa. Shinoski's
She had
on
some
point.
Greek name.
Faith.
Miang from Xenogears. This is Faith from what?
Far Cry 5.
Oh, didn't play that game.
Yeah,
but there you
yeah,
go.
She was one of the sub commanders. Yeah.
But our favorites. Now that's not. We're just naming names off that. But what is your?
I'm just waiting for Tony to mention it.
I'm
I
not gonna
named
say it.
mine. I had to dig
Tony,
deep.
no, Tony, your favorite game?
She's not a villain though. The boss is not a villain though.
She's set up as the villain though. That's
She
the
is
thing.
set up as the villain, but she's not a villain. She's actually the hero. Brian, I thought you were gonna tell me she who shall not be named is the villain in video games. Don't say
real
it.
life. That's real life.
real
man.
life. Yeah, the boss is not a villain. She's the hero of the story, man. But I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Beauty and the Beast maybe? But they were kind of
Beauty
like
and the Beast corpse.
they're kind of like victims if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metal Gear gets so morally ambiguous with
You know,
lines, so shit.
Carla-
Augustine from Infamous Second Son. Yeah, that chick. That's the one with the ice powers, I believe.
No,
Yeah,
you're
fa-
thinking of one from Infamous 2. I
Oh,
think
Second Son.
Infamous
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Quo or something like that.
But yeah, favorite. I don't know. We're just rattling off names. I don't know if I can name a favorite one. Which, hey, let's we should start a petition. We need more more female villains.
Oh,
in the gaming
how about
industry.
Carla Randomus from Resident Evil 6?
Oh, Jesus.
The one that the one that Ada Wong was created from.
Oh, God.
Oh.
You're like, choose not to remember it.
No, don't
Yeah.
remember that game. Strike it from the record,
6,
please.
yeah.
I gotta say, my favorite female villain has to be, what's her name? Kerrigan? From StarCraft?
That's what Shinati said. There you go. The old hunter from Bloodborne was female.
What's her face?
Lady Maria.
Lady Maria.
She's a boss, yeah.
She's
Oh,
a
she
boss,
was
but
badass.
it wasn't a villain though.
Yeah. Well,
Vicar Amelia was.
Vicar Emilio.
Vicar Emilio was,
You
yes.
go in that church and you're like, yo, where's the exit? I was like, what? Yo.
Which, Islith?
Yeah, that's her.
Or what's
Excella.
which of the witches of Islith turned half into spider? What was her name?
Queelag.
Queelag, there we go.
Queelag of Isolith,
Oh.
yes. Well, the Witch of Isolith turned into the Bed of Chaos.
all right, Brian. What were you
I'm
gonna
not
say?
sure if you count her as a female anymore.
This is a
Brian,
big tree.
Go. You
Big
guys are
tree.
nerding out over Dark Souls. Brian, go.
I don't. Sorry, Tony, but I don't remember what her name was. What's that daughter of the Cosmos one in Bloodborne?
Ha! You tried to take it away from the Bloodborne talk.
I know.
Yeah. No, I said Dark Souls. There's a difference because you
There's
guys
a
were.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
what's her
I know what
name?
Brian's talking about. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
was nice.
Cthulhu-looking alien chick.
Yeah.
that gross laser.
By the way, Brett, I it's not that I want to stop it because I know you guys how deep you go into that rabbit hole, and we're ready.
Oh no, I
like,
just thought it was you're like, no, you guys are just nerding out over Bloodborne now, Brian. And Brian's like, Bloodborne character.
No, I didn't.
Oh!
I said Dark Souls, so not
Anybody-
we
Bloodborne.
were actually talking about Bloodborne characters. Vicar Amelia is a Bloodborne character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was. Nadia Ross. Did anybody say that?
Yeah.
No.
Nadia Ross from
Shin-
Uncharted 3.
Shinatsky
Oh.
says the 3 witches from Witcher 3. Hey, that's pretty funny. Witcher 3 witches.
Olga Galukovich.
Yeah, that she counts. She's a
Olga
villain.
wasn't a bad guy.
And
She wasn't a. Well, here's the thing about Metal Gear villains is they are never really villains.
Oh man, Volgan's a villain.
Oh no, he's a total villain.
Volgan's a villain.
Yo, Vamp was here.
Vamp was-
Vamp is
yeah.
horrible.
It was horrible.
I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna end this show. We got on too long.
I'm gonna
But it
say
was a good
Sniper.
show.
I'm gonna say my all-time favorite is Sniper Wolf.
Yeah, I'm sticking with mine. The chick from Battletoads. Fuck it. Dominatrix looking chick. All right, man. So let's wrap this bitch up. So thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or over on the Coalition. We'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco and joined by Emilio Lopez.
Just wanted to say, yeah, on the last Throwdown, we because of the big conversations that we had on there, we weren't able to talk about this little baby, which I'm holding up right here, which is the signed Street Fighter V poster by the producer. What's his face again? What's his name?
Yoshio Ono.
Ono, man,
Yoshio
Ono.
Ono. Yeah, the signed by Ono. We haven't actually fully talked about what we're going to do for that, but stay tuned. You will be able to have a chance to get it.
Chris Seeley,
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero,
Peace out.
Brett Murdoch,
Deuces, everybody.
and Brian Manjoma.
Later, people.
All right, man. Yeah, we're gonna give this shit away this Thursday. Manny, thank you for reminding me. We will give some stuff away. It's gonna be crazy, man. Thursday. Maybe Adam will be back. Who knows? Later.
Later, guys.
Peace.